name is Sir Garrotish, and I am a knight in shining armor. This is my company of spearmen. Well, actually, it is my young ward and my sister, but they were part of my company of spearmen back at our old home. Now this is more of a small troop or a lance. You see, our Jarl, quite a few weeks ago, had a very special mission for us. You're telling me you don't know of Jarl Wren, his beautiful wife, and their half-elf child? Well, you, my friend, must have been living under a rock for the last few years, because they have set up the most powerful merchant city this side of the continent, as well as one of the most powerful medieval houses in all these lands, the House of the Rotten Boar. The banner is still a bit of a work in progress, don't mind that. But as such though, as one might imagine, merchant cities do a lot of trading. It's kind of all that they really do in terms of how they make their money, of course. And as such, they are prone to getting their caravans attacked by things like orcs, or possibly some disgusting beast from the forest and the bowels of hell. But most recently, we've been getting attacked by the Undead. In recent months, no one quite understands why, but many of the forests of the region have been corrupted, strangled by darkness, converted into forest of living corpses. Most philosophers call these places Duskwood biomes and/or forest. Many of the elven houses seem to believe they're a curse or a plague put onto the planet because we've upset their elven gods. Me? Oh, I don't give a shit. I'm just here to kill living corpses, orcs thirsty for blood, giant monsters beyond human comprehension. It's all the same to me. They all bleed, they all can die. Now then, we are going to be setting up a proper base of operations here, something of a tower. That is a perfect spot for one, I'd say. Unfortunately, these forests are still very dense and thick with vegetation, even them being full of the dead, so we were unable to bring any of our animal-drawn wagons in here with stone. Not to worry though, we should be able to utilize these trees by cutting them down and building our tower out of logs for now. But before we go about building a tower, we need some other things for safety's sake and also for warmth. We are going to be building a campfire first and foremost. Yes, let us be the first to bring some light to this darkness, a beacon of hope against all those filthy bone bags hiding in the tree line. As one could expect, these corpse warriors are a bit more susceptible to fire, so building a campfire should help keep them away. Before the dead actually detect our fire though, we need to start working on our shelter. If that fire were to go out and we don't have any walls up around us during the night, I would say we would get ripped apart within minutes. At least with some proper walls and doors, though they be quite weak made of logs, we should be able to keep any unwanted visitors out. Speaking of which, we were also quick to throw up a roof above our shelter, as there is a death pall within every inch of this forest. This dust appears to be what brings the corpses back to life. So anything we hunt or kill will need to be hacked up into pieces, eaten, burned, or just put out of the Paul's way. But as the night grows longer, as does our hunger, my poor sister is absolutely starving. Not to worry, dear sister, for the Jarl provides. They were sure to stock us with plenty of rations to do us, at least a few days after settling here. Plenty of mushroom stew, bread and cheese, a balanced meal. We quickly filled our bellies and would continue our strenuous work. As we did so, the pole only got stronger and even darker during the night. We are going to be building essentially a monster hunters guild here to help us kill all the undead, the monsters obviously, and any other undesirable creatures. So we are going to need a lot of rest. Finally, after a tiresome day's work, we are safe to go to sleep. Uh-oh. Well, that can't be good. Looks like a few of the living dead have come to rip us apart and eat us. However, we could try waiting them out. No, that won't work. They would rot after several hours, but I doubt our log walls would hold up for that long. We'll have to fight. Well, until we get some more people in our little monster hunting troop here and get our guild off the ground, for now it's going to be me, Dial, as well as Danielle. Danielle, of course, has a spear as well, but she is the only one of us that has actually brought with her a ranged weapon, being her special bow. So we have our Shamblers coming this way. I want to go ahead. We have them coming from this direction. We also have another coming from the south. A little bit concerning, but I think we can handle them. We are evenly matched with them, if you consider unfeeling undead beasts to be an even match with us. Going to toss a torch. Oh no. I had hoped that my torch might stun them, but it has illuminated the area so that we may see, at least. Let's try to kill them. There we go. And for the most part, I would say we got a few bruises, maybe a bite or two on Dial, but for the most part, everyone is a-okay. Kind of. I will say, I'm pretty sure that Dial was already missing his nose back at the House of the Rotten Boar City, the capital. I think he was already missing it, so probably nothing to worry about there. As long as we get these bruises and bites tended to, we'll be fine. Normally, I wouldn't use that good of medicine on bruises, but let's take a look around, right? We kinda are outnumbered at all times. There's undead wandering through the forest. There's the occasional swarm of them actually coming in specifically knowing we're here to murder us, maybe smelling us or just sensing our presence. I want to be healed as soon as possible, as best as possible. That way we can, not get killed. Now I know what you're thinking, Sir Gerardus. This is basically a suicide mission for your sister, yourself, and your young ward, your squire. How in the hell do you plan on pulling this off? It would take a miracle. I hear you, my friends, truly I do. But you must think about the innocent caravans full of men, women, and children, traders all alike, who have been slaughtered at the hands of these monstrosities, just as many other beasts and bastards of these forests. To die in battle against them would be an honor, not only to myself, but my Jarl, my people, my nation, and everyone who has died. Now then, if we're going to turn this forest into a monster hunting guild with a proper fortification, we should probably start using the environment to our advantage. Like all of these ceremonial candles that the undead have been leaving all throughout the forest. This could help us light up our little tower at the very least. The next thing that we'll need to work on is a proper wall to protect our fortress. Now, it's not much of a fortress at the moment. We need to create a proper keep fortified with some stone walls. That is at the very least. But for now, again, we're going to be using a lot of wood as it is the most abundant resource. We've built ourselves a spiked log fence all throughout the perimeter of our tower. That way, no undead should be able to easily climb over without ripping themselves in half. If they want to come through here, they're going to have to beat down the wall or come through the opening, where we will be waiting for them. We're going to have to work tirelessly. For now, it's only my little trio here, and the three of us are not a lot of manpower, as you could imagine, of course. Another thing we're going to be working on today is our quality of life. This will help us prevent mental breaks and keep everyone sane while we're in this dark hellhole of a forest. One of the first things we're going to be doing to alleviate this stress is by giving everyone their own room. Sort of. We're only using room dividers to give everyone their own little bed as well as their end table, but it's better than nothing so far. I wouldn't exactly call it our own little slice of paradise, but I guess it beats sleeping in the open without any privacy from the others. Now then, another crucial issue that we're currently facing is the fact we've been here for some days now and we're running dangerously low on food. We only have a couple of pieces of cheese left, hardly enough to do us all. Thankfully, even in such a dark and foreboding place like this, there are other alternative food sources, like the honey from a Death Stinger hive. We picked out the smallest hive because, well, as the name would suggest, the stinger on a Death Stinger will kill you quite easily. And the smaller the hive, the less the members, which means the less we had to kill. Not that we really minded. The more death stingers that we killed, the more food we would have as well. A bit of protein to our diets, if you will. We can't just eat honey every single day now, can we? While we had been out looking for food, we started finding some of these steel shrines scattered all throughout the forest. No doubt the living corpses have been building them for some nefarious purpose. Well, their false idols and gods shall not stand while we're here and draw breath. Besides, this steel would serve a much better purpose as a dagger, or perhaps the head of a spear, so that we may kill the undead with it. With our food finally collected, though, it was time for us to butcher our death stingers and start cooking them up with a little bit of their honey. Times like these often make you remember taking things for granted. Personally, I remember taking for granted all the delicious venison I had eaten over a nice campfire. Insect meat is far too chewy. One of the last finishing touches we would end up putting on our tower for the time being is a nice wooden flooring. Well, nice is hardly the word for it, but it beats tracking dirt on dirt and the whole damn place just being, well, dirt. Now, with a semi-permanent construction in place, what should we name this place? Well, I thought about letting my squire or sister help me out with that, but perhaps you fine folks would have some better suggestions. Thanks in advance. Well, truthfully, so far we have easily laid the foundation for a guild in this forest. I'm beginning to wonder what all the fuss was about. We've hardly faced any hardship. I think our real hardships are just beginning. Alright, so, maybe I had gotten a little bit ahead of myself. It looks like we have a lot of shamblers in the area now, as the death pall is bringing a lot of corpses back to life that were previously dead. I was worried that this wasn't actually going to be a horror video, but it looks like it definitely is now. What is that noise? Oh my god. Even the animals. A cursed shambler bear. But together we fear nothing. We are going to handle this situation, and we are going to kill these filthy corpses. Oh shit. Alright, they're already coming at us. I'm gonna throw a torch. Try to stun them a bit, if we can. And I'm going to give Danielle some time to shoot at them. We gotta be careful because we don't want to attract too many at one time. That would almost definitely get us killed immediately. If we could just finish it off. There we are. Here's the issue, though. We need to do something with these corpses. I wonder if extracting their skulls will stop them from coming back. That might do it, as they won't have a head anymore, although I don't know for sure. There are definitely more down here, but they don't seem all that... Oh shit. Oh yes they do. We do have one. There we go. We need to finish it off. And, okay, so we can't extract its skull for some reason. Crows are immediately coming in to feed on it. Or at least what is left of it, I suppose. This is such a disgusting place. Dark and dreary and full of horrors. I wanted to mention, because I don't want you to think I'm throwing those torches for no reason, it does seem that it's actually giving a bit of a stun to the shamblers when we hit them with the torch, but I don't know if it's because they don't have eyes or what. They're just not all that stunned by it. Oh, holy shit, what is that? Oh my god. A death knight. Holy. It is massive. I don't know. We'll do our best. Danielle's getting some pretty good shots on it. We're all out of bioferrite torches to toss, so even if I wanted to daze it, I don't think I could. It is injured from the bow a little bit, but not all that much. Best thing here is going to be for us to attack it while Danielle shoots, I think. Holy shit. It is just a massive corpse. It doesn't look like it has any weapons. thankfully. Let's get in here. Danielle, everybody get in here. We're gonna go total spear company. Oh, there we go. It's still alive after that. Oh, shit. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, shit. Oh, this is... We don't need to be outside. Not right now, at least. We're very injured. We need to finish it off. We can't afford it coming back. Oh, my God. Everyone get inside. I don't... we might have a little bit of medicine to tend to wounds. We definitely did not pack enough, I can tell you that. We might need to try to trade with somebody to get more, or we might be able to find some somewhere. God, this thing was powerful and absolutely huge. The problem is with the death pole, I'm pretty sure they're going to come back to life. We're basically trapped in this forest with these monsters. Look, here's an entire... I guess pack of shamblers that are just waiting on us. Oh, man. Well, we took one hell of a beating out there. All that just to put down a few shambler skeletons and one great big death knight. I would say it was quite the victory, but the problem is, our adversaries still wait just outside our doorstep. Never eating, never sleeping. Always waiting for us. And the foes that we had managed to already put down would be back in short order. I'm starting to understand why the other medieval houses have yet to try to take on this forest and its damned soldiers. I did spot a gigantic Lindworm coming in to eat some of the undead. Perhaps this creature will be able to help us with this task. Although it's going to need an awful large belly. I decided that we should begin working on our defenses if we really want to try to funnel them in from the southern part of the fort. We're going to need a way to kill them down there, much easier than just stabbing them with our spears. Resorting to that will end up with us overrun at some point. We also began tearing down more of those shrines throughout the forest for their steel. The reason being, wooden barricades and spikes are fine, but nothing says howdy to a skeleton's chest like a good old-fashioned cannonball, which is something I'd like to add to our arsenal sooner rather than later. But it would seem even a task as simple as this one comes with its own set of dangers here. What is that? Is it... Oh, man. Let's take a look here. Some type of undead elk, I believe. Deer moss. Shambler deer moss. I think this may be actually a legendary creature. We could kill it, but I want to level with you. If we can just get back and put our steel away, I would really rather do that without it, you know, coming to murder us. I think it may end up coming through the southern part, though, so we could try to get it to... Oh, it's attacking our walls. That's not good. We really don't want it breaking those walls. That's the only thing standing between us and all the undead. There we go. Alright, go, 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 go. We do not want to get hit by that. Oh man, Dial is a little bit slow though, yep. I'm hoping it doesn't kill him. I'm actually going to pull him back, our Squire Dial, as I don't want him dying here. Come on. Could bring Danielle in with her spear as well. Help us out here. There we go. Come on, come on. Oh, man. This thing is an absolute unit. It may be even tougher than a Death Knight. Well, this is a Shambler. I'm guessing the Shambler Death Knight is also probably tougher. It seems that even though the creatures are undead, once they die here and then they're resurrected, they become even worse, essentially, even more undead, deeper into death, if you will. I wish the Lindworm would actually eat it, but I don't think it will. The only way I can think to keep it from coming back to life is by butchering it. I think I can still butcher it. What if I... Yeah, even trying to allow all. So I can't butcher it because it is a Shambler, which is a shame. What do I do with it? We need some way to burn them. We need some way to just burn corpses. I think that would be the best way. Although it does appear that decapitating them and removing their skulls seems to keep them from coming back to life as well, although I don't think that's something we could do with the dead deer, the undead deer. Well, what do you know, speak of the devil. So we had a group of yak wander in. They of course are caravan animals, and I was checking the gear on them. So we have an iron cuirass, I forget how you pronounce it, I think that's it, basically some armor. We also have a war pick, bows, a nice helmet. We have some different things here, but we also have a fire pot belt. Now this is only going to give us 3 fire pots. They'll have to be reloaded. Of course, we can't reload it because we don't have fire pots, but killing these animals and taking their gear means we'll be able to burn at least 3 corpses. Obviously, we went straight over to that side of the forest and started slaughtering the yak. Truthfully, we probably would have done this just for the weapons and armor, but those fire pots are a nice touch. We would ever so quickly pick up and equip all the items that we could to take all the way back to our keep-to-be. Dial would equip that new breastplate, and Danielle would even equip a new helmet that was much more sturdy and durable than her previous. Obviously, I ended up taking the fire pot belt, giving my torch belt to young Dial. That way, once he gets some more bioferrite, he can strike those suckers back up. I was so excited to get my hands on the fire pots, I hadn't even considered the fact that we also now all have our own individual bow and arrows, meaning we can keep our distance and fire at our enemies from afar. Probably not accurately, since I, Dial, and also Danielle were mostly spearmen, but Danielle already had some previous hunting experience, unlike myself. Papa always did take her out hunting instead of me. Said I wasn't manly enough. Oh, if he could see the man I've become, he'd be rolling in his grave. Pun intended. Now then, we do have all of that steel that we needed to go about making a cannon to defend ourselves, so that is exactly what we're going to be doing. In this day and time, cannons are still fairly new technology, so here's hoping we can aim the damn thing and hit something with it. That being said, we won't be able to hit anyone or anything with it without first tearing down our spiked walls. This comes with its own risks, but it's going to be well worth it when we get our cannon operational. However... Alright, so maybe a bit of a dumb move on my part. I was not expecting the entire horde to start coming through like that. Again, a dumb, mistake I shouldn't have made, but I just was not expecting it. They haven't tried to come through yet without being, attacked first, so maybe they're smarter than we initially thought. They are attempting to tear down our shelter as well, and they have a cursed bear. Oh no, go this way, go this way. We have to actually go out into the forest to get away from him, it would seem. Danielle is using the Pila, and the reason for that is because it has a much higher damage than an actual bow, and if she can manage to hit them with it, if she can hit them, that is. God. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, another Death Knight. Although he doesn't seem to be coming for us like the others. Let's see, maybe we swap over to Danielle's bow. I think she'll do better then. There are just a few too many for us to engage them in melee combat, although we are almost healed up from our last little battle with them. Meanwhile, back home, a couple of them, they are attempting to destroy more of our walls, I assume, so that more of them can come through and inevitably take us down. Perhaps, as mentioned, they are much more intelligent than we initially thought. We're gonna have to stay on the move here. We've yet to fully kill any of them. We are getting some pretty decent shots in, though. It might be best... I want to come in and start stabbing them with our spears, though, until I know we can actually take them. It's too much of a risk to take with far too few of men. There we go. Pelting them with the arrows. Oh, finally. Finally. I could use the fire bombs, but the problem with using those is I need them to destroy the corpses afterwards. So if we kill them now and they don't fully burn up, it would be a complete waste. Let's move back this way. I want an open and clear view of them so that we could have our best shot of killing them with the arrows. Chased by disgusting, hellish creatures throughout this forest of a similar description. Ever so fitting, I suppose, for monster hunters. Okay, we've killed yet another, so we've actually managed to take out, yeah, it looks like about 3 or 4 of them. I think we would be safe to get in here with our spears. Swap everyone over. There we go. Finish him off. Disgusting bastards. Now we need to move back. Oh, we have one coming up from behind. One of them trying to sneak up on us. There we go. Our polearms and spears are very durable and tough. It looks like... Did they give up? I think they gave up on attempting to destroy our fort. We do need to finish them off. There are a few more. Yeah, there's some out here. Shamblers. They are slightly different than the other undead, though we're not exactly sure on their classifications. Perhaps we could capture some of them to be studied by some philosophers and scientists. We have that Death Knight up there. I'm very surprised the Death Knight did not attempt to join in on killing us, but I'm also quite grateful that that wasn't the case. There we go. So we have officially finished off that little swarm of them. Now then, time to dispose of these rotten corpses properly. Though I must say I really enjoyed slaughtering you for the first time, all ye skeletal remains. I prefer not to have to do it again, and again, and again. May the fires cleanse us of all that is unholy. May it burn away all these swaths of corrupted flesh that have been reanimated to kill. May it cure the sickness and ailment that is this necromantic plague. We shall burn away the horrors of this forest. We shall be the keepers of the gates of mankind, filtering out all of the undesirable monstrosities. Speaking of which, I think it's time that we finish up those walls that we were trying to work on before the undead attempted to sack our keep. We're actually building some embrasured spiked log walls. This way we can fire through them. Essentially, we'll be keeping the allure of our open gate here in the south to try to entice them to come through this way. That way they can come through some spiked logs, cutting themselves, hopefully dying. All the while we're firing cannons and arrows at them. Touching back on those wooden barricades again, we're going to start building more of those all around the fortification and the walls here. That way, undead that are foolish enough to try to get close enough to break our walls will most likely get injured by them. You may have noticed, though, that construction outside of our keep can be quite slow. And obviously the reason for this, not only the weather with these death and gray pales that are always plaguing this forest, but also things are just very dark. So we're building some torches to help us see. I had been avoiding doing this for quite some time, mostly because it causes our fort and keep to be a great big glowing target for any undead that may want to kill us, which is all of them. We would also take a few hours to go about digging some trenches at the southern entrance. That way we could take cover here and fire out at undead if we need. And also that way when they're coming through here, they hopefully won't see it. They'll fall in, slowing them down even further. As I was waiting in the trench, testing it out to ensure it was large enough for all three of us, I could hear wildlife in the distance. I could hear crows, but they sounded as if they were in peril. What kind of sicko cuts off crows' wings? Oh shit. Looks like this was some sort of sick ritual before they started their next attack against us. Gather your arrows and I'll prep the cannon. Our first volley from the cannon would manage to kill a few of the lesser undead, but unfortunately the Death Knight was a bit tougher, obviously. My sister and myself would attempt to take him down as a lesser undead was coming through the gate to fight with Dial. He plunged his spear deep within its empty crevice of a chest, and it appeared that he might need a bit of my help. Together, we would put it down, crushing its skull with the tip of the spear to finish it off. We weren't quite finished, though, as the Death Knight, who had just tanked about 3 or 4 volleys from the cannon, was still coming. Thanks to our traps and our combined effort of arrows, though, we would put him down as well. Now that was a bit difficult, but without our cannon, damn near impossible, I would say. We would have had to have retreated from our fortification once more. We quickly gathered up all these corpses into a pile so that I may toss another fire pot on top of them and get rid of them once and for all, of course. During this time, though, I began experimenting with different ways of dismembering them, though, and I realized that butchering them, taking them apart limb for limb, is actually a viable solution only if, and this is only if, they have not become shamblers yet. I know, there must be some type of undead science to this, but you'll just have to take my word for it. Another benefit to dismembering them in this fashion is that they are wearing some type of ancient steel armor that is essentially just a few pieces of scrap metal, meaning that we can use these ingots for ourselves if we so choose to make weapons or another cannon or anything. Now that that attack from them is over with, it's time that we prepare for the next that will definitely be coming at some point very soon, I'm sure. To go about preparing for this, we are actually going to be throwing stone chunks up against our walls on the outside. There's no way to stop the undead from attacking our walls, but we can make it as hard as possible for them. As we were doing this though, we had some Elven Travelers passing by, and we're going to try to help the elves out here as best we can. Now, I can't control them, so if they want to make silly little decisions like that, that is going to be on them. But as the hunters in the area, we definitely are not going to be leaving them hanging. And even if we can, I think we'll attempt to try to rescue them and save them as best we can. So one of them did manage to fend off the lesser undead. Theoretically, all come together with our spears, but I think arrows might be better so that we don't get ripped apart here. Yeah, and that's exactly what I didn't want to happen to us. So, there we go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I will say, I am going to rescue them, and we'll even tend to them. But I might keep their food and their bows and a few other things that perhaps they might forget about. Could be good for any new recruits or other members that end up joining us here. But yeah, we are going to go ahead and tend to them. We want to ensure that anyone that comes to this area, of course, as the hunters, we are going to try to keep them safe. We're going to try to take care of them, assuming they're friendly. Now, if a band of orcs comes through here, which I'm kind of surprised hasn't happened yet, but orcs tend to rob and murder. Probably not a lot of that going on here for them that would, give them the opportunity to, or would be worth their while. But we are going to try to take care of any allies or innocent folk who are coming through here and get injured or are being attacked. I had said earlier, I think, that these corpses, we could butcher them and dismember them, keeping them from being raised from the death pale like they're in right now, because they weren't shamblers. And that is kind of true, but I think to elaborate on that a bit better, it's when they turn into shamblers, they rot after they're taken down. And right now they're rotting as well, since they were shamblers. So I think it's just the fact that the corpses are rotting in general. So if that happens, we're not able to do it, just to specify a little bit better. Alright, so we've got them here though. I am going to go ahead and burn them. We want to make sure that this is not home area too, because if this is a home area, if you're playing along, they will attempt to put out the fires, which is the opposite of what we want to happen. We need these corpses burned. We need them gone, and that way, they're not a problem for us ever again. Have those burn away, and we are safe and sound, at least from those two. I also wanted to say, I have a bit of a theory. Now, I don't know really how well it would work, but I do wonder if we manage to completely cut down this forest, or if maybe we happen to burn it down, would that get rid of, or at least decrease, the amount of undead that were coming our way, that were actually forming here, that sort of thing? Would it basically start burning the corruption of whatever dark curse, or perhaps even necromancy magic? I know, silly to think in a medieval time, even for folks like us. Around these parts, we don't exactly believe in that sort of thing, unless you're the elves, of course. But we have to stay open to possibilities. But would it basically lessen whatever has a hold on this forest and these lands? It might be worth trying. You'll notice in sections like this, these aren't exactly all that corrupted. Basically, what I'd like to do is try to hinder the undead in a big way, as well as these death pales, which would prevent them from reforming. As you can see, it's even taken its toll on the wildlife, with many of these cursed creatures now being alive, or the kind of alive, you know what I mean. Later into the evening, there was some shambling from the forest we could overhear, but this was no undead. This was Minotin, our slave from the Jarl. She was supposed to be sent after us a couple days after we left, that way she could help reinforce us and also bring in some extra food. I'm glad she finally found us. Oh no, it looks like she stirred up quite the commotion wandering around in the woods. The absolute largest horde of undead that we have seen yet. I think it goes without saying that we wouldn't be able to fight off a swarm of this size. They could easily tear down our walls, destroy our shelter, and then rip us apart. We have to get rid of them somehow, but for now, they're not actually attacking us. They're just wandering around looking for Minotin. Lucky for you, little lady, we'll be keeping you safe. I cannot express how grateful I am that you finally found us out here. We were afraid that we were going to run out of food. Oh, you only have 7 bread and mostly iron ingots. What did the Jarl think we needed that for? Though, with a swarm of shamblers this large around our base, I don't think it's going to matter how much food we have pretty soon. You know, that iron, I might just have a use for it yet. Perhaps we could build an alchemy bench. Well, it does require basic components, so we'll also need to build a workbench, that way we can use said iron to start crafting some of those, but once we have enough, we'll be able to throw together our very own alchemy bench, and it is at this alchemy bench that we can actually start making our own fire pots. The perfect weapon to use against the hordes of the damned. The only issue is that we're currently missing 2 of the 3 required items, cloth and tar. I think that our elven friends might be able to help us out with that cloth, though. Sure, their elven houses won't like that we're stripping them of their clothing, but it's for a good cause. And besides, I'd rather them be upset at us than all of us be dead in a few days. We would take their cloth tunics and begin ripping them apart at our workbench, getting us up to 30 cloth. Now all we need to light this big old candle is some tar. Lucky for us, it just so happens that these lands are still very much rich with gigantic tar pits that are dangerous, but also sticky and flammable, most importantly. We're gonna need to work quick though, because the giant horde of the damned is coming right for our base. And if they were to spot any of us over our spiked log walls, it's game over. My sister would waste absolutely no time throwing together all the ingredients to make a fire pot for every single one of us. These have the added benefit, unlike the belt, of never running out, which is quite important. Because trust me, we are going to need as many as we can get. We have a lot of burning to do. We would head into the forest from the northern entrance of our fortification, and the reason for this is because we only wanted to attract a very small portion of the horde. That way we could try to kill some of them off slowly but surely. And we were chucking fire pots left and right trying to hit them. Eventually, we would end up having to finish them off with our spears. I was a bit worried that we might have to take on the entire horde this way, but I noticed those fire pots that we threw down that had missed these shamblers actually caused a gigantic, raging forest fire. Ash and soot filled the air, mixing with the death pall. It was a bit of a glass cannon situation, as we could burn down the forest and hopefully burn down all the shamblers with it. But in doing so, we would also end up lighting our fort on fire. Even so, the fort wouldn't be here in a few days if we don't end up burning down the forest and all its undead inhabitants, so we would continue our efforts. And after several hours of lighting fires, as well as putting them out in some cases, we had created an absolutely monstrous inferno, relentlessly and rapidly swallowing up the entire forest, as well as all of those filthy bastards who were looking to kill us. But then all of a sudden something incredible began to happen. The rains came and put out all the fires, but this only happened after a significant portion of the trees had been burned and the forest as a whole. This is incredible because it doesn't rain here. I think we may have found a viable solution to cleansing the corruption that these forests cause, and to get rid of all of their little rotten soldiers. Oh my god, is that? It is. It's the sun. These lands haven't seen sunlight in months at least. And honestly, neither had we since we arrived here. I almost forgot how beautiful it was. How warm it was. Again, truth be told, I had no idea that that was actually going to work, but I will take the credit for it, obviously. Now, we didn't completely get rid of all the undead. I don't think that that'll ever be possible just by burning down a forest. But this is an incredible start, and at least we can see them now to go about killing them. And I think we've definitely dampened them coming back. Basically what I'm saying is we were faced with unimaginable, unending horrors, and yet we have overcome them, setting a wonderful foundation for our own guild and society here. But that, my friends, will be next time. I'll see you later. Hello, the name is Sir Gurodis. You've probably already heard of me, but just in case you haven't for whatever reason, I am a knight of much renown in these parts. Recently, my Jarl has sent me, my sister, my squire, and our house slave hound to set up a monster hunting guild here in the Duskwood forest. I know it doesn't look like much at the moment, simply a wooden shack with a spiky little fence all around it, but truly I feel that it's actually what's in our hearts that matters when setting something like this up. And I must tell you, my friends, that our hearts yearn to slay monsters. Our base of operations has been set up in probably one of the worst places that you could imagine. The Duskwood Forest is a place of the living undead. Corpses come back to life and roam the soil looking for anyone and anything that they can kill. But I think it's a testament to our true strength that we burned the entire place down shortly after setting up shop. For you see, we really prefer for our corpses to stay dead. Yes, but not only are we killing monsters, we are also rescuing people like the two elves that are currently in our care and custody after being attacked by a death knight out in the woods. Yes, I know they're sleeping on the floor. We haven't made any more beds yet, okay? We're pretty fresh here, alright? Speaking of which, wood and fires don't often mix all that well, and they don't often always work out in our favor. So I thought one of the best things for us to start doing is to begin cutting some stone. Now, I think I'll still be making a lot of our homes and things like that and other structures out of wood, but a nice great big stone wall might be nice, don't you think? Not only does stone not burn, but it's also much more durable than some spiked logs that we've been using for our walls, and that way the undead and other monstrous bastards can't easily break right through it and kill us. Although, as we were cutting up all these stones, something a bit odd ended up happening. The two elves who were in our custody and care, I mentioned a moment ago, apparently are lovers now. As they were lying on our floor, almost bleeding out, one of them started flirting with another. You know how it goes. Well, it would seem not only are we heroes who rescue people out in the woods, but we're playing matchmakers now. A couple of days later, they were fully healed of their wounds and ready to depart with one heart between them. let's hope that not only did they fall in love, but they also learned a thing or two about, traveling to a necromancy forest without any other guards with them. And perhaps someday our kindness will be returned. Until that day, though, it would seem that we need to build this great big stone wall all by our lonesome, which kinda sucks because there's only 4 of us and only 2 of us are somewhat decent at constructing. Our home city under the House of the Rotten Boar is a little bit on the smaller side in comparison to some of the other human medieval houses, so they didn't exactly have any builders they could spare, I'm afraid. And because of that, and the fact that the stone wall all around our area here will take a very long amount of time with just a few people here, we had to really regulate ourselves working on the wall on some days, and on most other days working on other things, including but not limited to a proper outhouse with a nice wooden latrine for your tuchus. Not to worry, we did our best to sand it with a sandstone block, that way no splinters should puncture. We also dug ourselves a moderate-sized wooden well so that we could go about fetching water, which would be quite crucial for the water tub we tossed out back so that we could actually properly wash ourselves for the first time since we've been here. Now you might be saying to yourself, but Rat, doesn't that mean that up until this point you've been washing and defecating into the same pools of water that also have rotting zombie corpses in them? Yes. That is what I'm saying. Quite the upgrade, don't you think? Sir Garrotus had a very strange dream. Something of a disturbing vision. Something about a green, wicked woman, laughing and cackling, not of this world, searching other dimensions and planets for the strongest warriors. And her very presence could create things like the Dusk Forest and corrupting soil and land as she goes, and nothing but muffalo shit. It was just a dream. Hey, speaking of the Dusk Forest, why don't we start chopping down some of these trees? That way we can start building everybody some proper homes. If we're going to be setting up a Monster Hunters Guild here, we need to ensure that our members have a place of their own. Being somewhere like this, doing the duties that we do could be really hard on the mind. So it's important that we take care of little things like giving everyone their own privacy and their own space. For our first couple of cottages and or cabins, whatever you prefer to call them, we are building them a bit south of our current defended area. These 2 cottages, of course, are going to be for Dial and Danielle, respectively. They both seem tickled plum pink to have their own little homes out here in the forest, and it's a nice little slice of normalcy in the monstrous beyond that we're staying in these days, I'll say. Speaking of which, we've began noticing a large presence in the population of giant spiders that roam these lands. And even more so, we've noticed that they're getting a little bit too close for comfort, so we're gonna have to stab them to death. Blah, I hate them when they're normal size. Let's see, there we go. I'm guessing because we burned down the forest and all the undead that roamed it, a lot of them died as well, that they're not really keeping the population of giant spiders at bay anymore. I suppose that's our job now. Although this does ponder the question, could we maybe capture these monsters, breed them, and use them to our advantage against our enemies? I think so. We do have more pressing matters at the moment, but this could be something for the old back pocket. For this one, it's already dead. Hardly matters, so I suppose we'll roast it over the fire. I should also mention that all the deforestation that we're doing isn't just so we can build new structures, nor is it for our health. This forest is, and will continue to be, a problem, so keeping it cut down like this will help us keep all the undead at bay, keep these death poles that bring the undead at bay, you get the point. But, that being said, we do also get to use the wood that we chop down, and so right now we're going to be using it for a proper storage building. Yet again, nothing more than a little log shack with some straw flooring, but it is better than keeping it in the place that we plan on using as our home and our meeting spot for all of our guild members. It ain't much, but slowly and surely this place is starting to look like a proper community. Some traveling elves would stop in and tell us about a nearby woman who was asking them for help from a cave. Or they say they couldn't really hear all that well, she was yelling. from inside a cave, guarded by monsters. Oh, why didn't you say so? Her location was about 3 days' journey downriver. Dial, my young squire, and myself would go out on this mission, leaving my sister and our slave in charge. I thought it only fitting that our first real mission since setting up the guild would be taken on by myself, of course. Although our journey is going to take some time, so let's check back in on that in a moment. In the meantime, back home with Daniel in charge, he would do plenty of hunting, stocking up our larders with the cursed venison flesh of some deer. Can you even eat zombie deer? I guess we'll find out. She and Minotaur were also working diligently to ensure that the population of corpses wielding weapons and trying to rip our flesh from our bones was minuscule. Finally, after several days of traveling across the gaping rivers of these lands, the wooded forest, as well as some treacherous mountains, we would finally arrive. Oh, you poor thing, having to stay in that cave with those disgusting beasts for so many days. Preparing to eat you, no less. Not to worry, for we will come to your rescue. Ah, it would seem that they've already smelled us in the area. Prepare your spear for a good skewing, Dial. Funny enough, it actually looks like they were eating a porcupine, so I don't know that they're hunting us, but no doubt if they're not, they will be in just a moment. Yeah, they're eating some wildlife instead. I don't know if they're actually hunting them for food, or if it's just because they've gotten too close to the cave as well, because Marie here has yet to be eaten. That would suggest to me that they're not hunting for food at the moment. We're gonna swap over to our bows simply because... oh my god. Did it just get huge before my very eyes? Oh, it's massive now. Alright, move. Luckily, the other one is off hunting wildlife and isn't nearby, so we might be okay. Disgusting beasts. Again, I prefer... ah, there we go. I was going to say I prefer not to have to engage in melee combat with it. Let's go ahead and finish it off. There we go. We do have the other that needs to be dealt with, which is much larger now. The thing about these creatures, I believe, is that they have wonderful senses of smell and not so much with their sight. This isn't going to be the best idea, but I'm going to throw a torch in hopes of... okay, Dial. I was really hoping you'd be able to move faster. We did stun it for a second, though, which should affect it a bit more. Here I am talking about its sight isn't all that great, and yet I throw a torch in its eyes. You know, I still think that it might be a pretty good idea to try to take what little sight it has here in the dark. These arrows are puncturing it, and yet it keeps on coming. There we go. Finally, this one was absolutely massive. It tanked a lot of arrow shots. Look at that. Good God. Alright, we don't have time to waste, though. We need to rescue Marie. She's in bad shape. I'm not even going to offer her help first. I am going to immediately tend to her. Not to worry, madam, for you are safe and sound now. I'm actually going to have, yes, Dial, you're already there, but you are keeping watch at the cave entrance in case these nasty creatures maybe have any friends in the area. Now this is interesting. This nest that they have, obviously hay piles where they're sleeping, but some type of blood pyre. I suppose it's possible they weren't going to eat her, but maybe sacrifice her in a way. Quite disgusting and disturbing either way. God only knows what goes through the heads of these disgusting monsters, but, you know. Alright, so we have tended to her. Let us offer her help. And she has decided to join us at the Monster Hunters Guild. Awful kind of you, madam. I suppose then we should get you home, and we should also get you some clothing. Put a spear in your hand, and you are ready for action. And with that being said, myself, Marie, as well as my young squire, would all begin making the long journey all the way back home upriver. Again, though, this is going to take several days, so let's check back in a moment. Meanwhile, back home, Danielle and Minotaur were actually setting up some small fields of tilled soil that we were going to be planting our crops in. Currently, we're going to be growing some potatoes as well as onions, perfect for a nice warm stew. Uh-oh. Well, that little bit of peace and growing crops lasted all of about 10 seconds. It looks like we're being attacked by orcs. So you're telling me we've been here for a few months, we burned down this haunted necromancy forest, and then all of a sudden orcs start showing up? Yeah, I don't think that's a coincidence. These cowards were waiting on someone else to do it, and now they think they can get the upper hand. I think not. Not if we and our cannon have anything to say about it. There was a little bit of collateral damage with some of our structures. We completely forgot to move our cannons, I'll be honest with you. But thanks to our cannon, 1 down and 2 more to go. This one was a bit more brave than the others, coming straight through our defenses and also getting stabbed right in the side by our spear. That's a shame. For you. Their leader was much less brave, and seeing his 2 comrades fall in battle, he decided to run away. Orcs tend to be cowards when it counts. We did end up creating a great big fire in Danielle's cottage, but that was okay, as we could easily stomp it out with enough time, and we could also snuff out what remained of this orc's life. They're basically monsters themselves, no reason to try to take them prisoner. Although, this one here had a more feminine, human-like shape. This is unlike any other orc we've seen before. We stripped her of her armor and captured her. My god, she's a hybrid. Half human, half orc. Surely the captain will want to decide her fate once he returns. With any luck, she might actually make a good hunter. But she is still half orc, so she could be a merciless creature of the night. We'll wait and see. For obvious reasons, though, we don't want to be storing her in our main tower in the center of our little guild village here that we're building, so we're actually going to start working on a temporary jail. Nothing too fancy, just a log shack, as most of our structures are, with a straw floor, and also a few beds, things like that. That way they can stay warm, not because we care, but so that she doesn't freeze to death. I expect that there could be many more like her hybrids out there that could make for good hunters, or we might have to question them. They might be intelligent enough to answer a few of our questions. And if not, the straw will soak up the blood as well. Speak of the devil, the captain, his squire, and our new huntress have all finally returned home. We would begin introducing Marie to everyone and letting her make their acquaintance, to tell her own story, though, of what happened out there and how we ended up rescuing her. I think that her vengeance and lust for revenge against these monsters is going to be great and will help us fuel our mission. Although she won't be able to really accomplish anything while she's butt naked and bare-handed, so how about we let her go ahead and equip that orc's weaponry and armor? It's better than nothing for the time being until we can make some or we can purchase some. There we are. Better than nothing, as mentioned. A nice leather breastplate, a rusty axe, and a rusty iron helm. Alright, after this though, the captain would enter the makeshift prison that we've built and would begin deciding the fate of the half-breed creature. If she has any way of thinking like a human in that great big bulbous green head of hers, that means she might be able to understand, think, and also control her orc strength. That could be perfect for us. I say we give it a try, and we'll let her join us. It looks like Dial is throwing a party to celebrate a successful mission, as well as Marie joining us. He would end up throwing this little soiree in his house. We didn't have any mead or ale, unfortunately, but we did have some nice venison soup. Oh, sister, you shouldn't have. Was this from one of those zombie deer? Ugh. As the party was winding down, we ended up having some visitors traveling through the area from House Oswin. We would guarantee their safety. And it looks like we're going to have to. We are currently moving in to assist the traveler. Oh no! He got killed by the stupid Death Knight. Damn! Let's see if we can use our bow here. Go, and let's just jump in with the bill hook. Oh god, both of them! Well, so much for guaranteeing their safety, I guess. Oh my god. Oh, okay, well, we did end up killing it. Oh, House Oswin. I would say they'd be upset with us, but this is kind of their fault. Not really ours, but we tried our best. Let's finish you off. And there we go. That's so sad. I really didn't want that to happen, and now we have to burn their bodies for the before the next death pail comes through. We do have a lot of items from them. I mean, they're not going to use them, right? So, we might as well. I can tell you for a fact that Marie would be more than tickled to get into that little pile of armor from our now deceased friends. She's looking better already. Speaking of, we desperately don't need our deceased friends becoming our enemies, nor that orc coming back to life, so we torch their bodies. Now then, with that out of the way, I think it's time that we start building some more houses for everyone, since we have more people joining the guild. First and foremost, we need to build a cottage for Marie, and then the last cottage we ended up building would be for Sir Gerardus. He is a true leader of these folks, as he has been staying in the tower, just really roughing it, as he would make sure that all of his soldiers had their own places first before he. Such a selfless leader. We also ended up building a small little shack for Minotin. You know, we're not going to be mean to her or cruel just because she's enslaved by the House of the Rotten Boar. But we also don't have to give her some gigantic mansion, of course. And since everyone now has their own proper lodgings, all the soldiers under our command, and we as Sir Gerardus ourselves, it's time that we focus a lot of our building, constructing, and manpower in general back towards the wall. Again, this is a gigantic project that is going to take a very long time, especially since we don't have all that many people. But if we don't get an early start on it, there's a good chance we'll never get it finished before some horde of undead or giant monster hive attacks us and murders everyone, leaving our entrails through the streets. It took a very long time, but we eventually got the southern and also a bit of the eastern and western parts of the wall completed. At least for now. I suppose we had just better be praying to our gods that an attack doesn't come from the north. We did finally move our cannons down here, so if we do get attacked from the south, we'll be able to fire them out through the embrasures in the stone walls at our enemies. But if we get attacked from the north, we can all run down here, and as our little city is getting sacked, we can prep our cannons, turn them around, and use them against the attackers. Well, that's the plan at least. Now, something else we kind of touched on earlier is the fact that we need to start making our own weapons and armor, since we're most likely not going to be able to purchase it, at least not right off the bat. We're not exactly getting paid for our efforts here, so we'll have to do some trading to make any silver. Until that time, I think we should go about making our own blacksmith shop so that we could smith our own weapons and armor. I'd be lying to you though if I said that any of us here were really all that masterful at smithing. Although I don't think it's going to matter all that much. We just need a point, need to make it sharp, and I think we could do the rest. We are some pretty skillful warriors. Even so, it might be a good idea to keep an eye out for a useful smith, somebody skilled at the profession, as well as most other professions like tailoring and what have you. It kind of reminds me as well, I think next episode we might start working on some lodgings for visitors, people who are traveling through the forest and need a safe place to stay. Let me know what you guys think about that. It would include me adding the hospitality mod, so I don't think anybody would mind, although I don't want to overdo it, as I do use that mod a lot. Now, not only are we building a blacksmith shop to go about making weapons, but we're going to be trying to take care of other basic needs that we're going to need here, like butchering. I'm not going to be building a butchering shop just yet, but instead of using a spot where we're using our own daggers to gut and skin animals, as well as other things that we're eating, I think we need a proper butchering table as well as some racks where we can dry said meat. Finally, rotten venison and spider jerky all around. By this point, we also finally recruited the half-breed orc into our ranks, and she even managed to gurgle out in English that her name is Maverick. Perhaps she isn't a total beast. Still yet, we're going to be keeping a close eye on you. Lucky for you, my green friend, your armor is still vacant at the moment, even though Marie had worn it for a very brief period of time, just kind of keeping it warm for you. Speaking of which, it looks like you found a nice long coat to keep you warm this fall and winter. During this time, we were also going throughout the forest and searching some of these corpse piles, as many of them actually had a few different riches like iron and gold ore armor that we could use in our new blacksmith shop. We also began tearing down these damn dirty necromancy shrines, not only for the steel that they had, but also because the dead no longer own this forest. Which also brings me to my next point. We're really setting up a nice little place for ourselves here, and yet we still haven't named it. Lucky enough for me, I asked you fine folks last episode for some suggestions, and as always, you were more than happy to oblige, and I very much appreciate it. For the name of our monster hunting guild, we are going to be calling ourselves the Unyielding Light, under the Rotten Boar House, of course. A great suggestion from our friend True Scarab. Now, personally, I really like this one because, well, we are the only light in the darkness of these undead necromancy forests. Metaphorically, but also literally. As for the actual guild physical itself here, our little settlement that we've created and carved out here in the forest, we're going to be calling it Lux Intinibbrris, which, as pointed out by our good friend Internet Shark, is Latin for light in the darkness. A wonderful name. Perfect, sticking with the theme and the reasoning as to why we called ourselves the Unyielding Light Monster Hunting Guild, which is quite a mouthful, and sticking with that theme going together, I think they're both quite nice. And last but not least, we actually have a wonderful name for our tower from our friend Yayani_K, with that being Hope's Refuge. Now, I see you also said Last Light. I would go with that, but I feel like 3 for 3 is too many on the light-based names. Now, that also brings me to a point. I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with the tower just yet. I wanted it to maybe be our meeting place where we plan out our monster hunts and things like that, and I suppose we could, but I was also considering this might be the place where we allow visitors and travelers to stay so that they're completely safe right in the center of the settlement. Let me know what you guys think, though. In front of the tower, though, next to where we're doing our stone cutting, we're also going to be building a great big pyre where we can burn plenty of wood at all times. But it's not only wood that we're going to be burning here. We can also go about burning the corpses of all those skeletons and others that we kill that we don't plan on butchering to get any of the scraps of armor and metal. And the pyre itself was also a great suggestion from our friend Crusadion Albion. I may have mispronounced your name, so I apologize, but thank you for pointing out that I can actually use these pyres to burn corpses. Absolute game changer. This makes things much more efficient and much easier. How do we have so many corpses, you might be asking yourself? Well, off screen, I am actually still hunting monsters. That is technically the name of the game for us in these parts. Constantly killing skeletons and constantly killing death knights. I just haven't really been showing it off all that much because there really isn't anything interesting about me killing another 5 death knights every few days, or 5 to 6 skeletons every day, right? The only time I'm really showing anything is when I find it to be a bit interesting myself, like the Death Knight that we just killed, who is our first to actually have a sword and a shield. But even he would fall to our cannons quite easily. Now when it comes to hunting down other more interesting monsters and unique ones that we've yet to see, I'll be sure to show you, which might be coming up in just a second. Because as we were spending a lot of time building new torches all around our walls so that we can truly be a beacon of light and hope here in the forest, and that way people can also see us quite easily as they're traveling through the forest, we had received word from some of our elven allies in the area traveling through that there were monsters in the southeastern part of the forest just by the river. Apparently some type of pig-like creature, though much larger, with serrated tusks that are sharp and can penetrate armor. They've been attacking groups of caravans and travelers in the area, and it looks like we're gonna need to go and deal with him. Well, that's fine by us, but it does seem as if these beasts might be a bit more difficult than the ghoulish creatures that we saved Marie from, and because of that, we are going to be bringing myself, Marie, my sister Danielle, as well as Maverick. We might need her sheer orc strength during a time like this. The 4 of us would set out trekking through the forest and up the river. It's times like these that I really wish we had some ancient stags to mount. It really makes journeys much faster. Maybe in the future, though. We would end up arriving sometime later. This portion of the forest was dark and gloomy, with a death pole that was just now beginning to dissipate. It was clear that this one had not been affected by our great big fire we started, Perhaps we'll have to burn it soon. With a great big sprawling water stream going right through the middle, reminding us of the river Styx from legend. It also wouldn't take us long at all before we would locate the lair of these monsters. Gigantic looking boars known as, fittingly, Hellbores. It looks like we're not the only ones who have tried to eradicate them over the years, or even in recent weeks. So the thing to remember about Hellbores is they're pretty fast. They're actually about as fast as the average human, which is about 4.4. I think most of us are going to be a bit slower though because of our plate armor. For example, actually Sigurotix is 4.6, so he's probably a bad example. Everyone's about 4.6, so they're actually about as fast as we are. So that means we can't exactly just run away from them. We kinda can, but not exactly. They might not be hostile to us right off the bat either, which is good, because that'll mean that we have time to plan out our attack, and also to kinda come at them from a distance. I'm gonna drop Sigurotix brought a great bow, an extra perfect for Marie, I'll say. Eat your onions, madam. Have to eat some onions to prepare for a good battle. We do also have our fire pots, which we could use to burn down the entire forest, as well as the Hellbores. It might be worth burning them to kind of start off with here, because that's going to cause them to run around. Now, if we attack while the other ones are away, they may not even notice. Now, again, they're not exact. Oh, wow, we killed that one pretty quickly, actually. I was gonna say, again, they're not all that hostile right from the get-go. But if they get going, we have to be very careful, because if they catch us, they are going to rip us to shreds. Like right now, we need to move. Move, move, move. Oh, there we go. That was pretty easy, actually. Yeah. Go ahead and finish that one off. And we'll find... Oh, wow. We'll find the third and final. Before we search for him, though, we should probably go about destroying this nest first. That way we don't have to worry about maybe any more hatching. I don't think this is actually one of their nests. They probably commandeered it, most likely. Looks like we have a oh, shit. Oh, go. No. There he is. Oh, man, he bit Maverick. That's not good. Oh, man, that is not good. Keep going. Oh, it looks... Phew. Oh, that was close. How bad off are you? Oh, toxic buildup, infectious bite, and teeth. Now, you'll notice that it looks like she's already healing a bit from this. And I think that this is a special trait that orcs seem to have. Yeah, so she's kind of healing up a bit on her own. And again, it seems like this is something that orcs are capable of. We need to go back over here and start destroying the nest a bit. I've got everybody using... Oh, no. Okay. Whoa. I had everyone on their spears. Swap back over to the bow. The death pole has already began. Oh, shit. This is so much worse. We should have immediately torched their corpses. Speaking of, why don't we start doing that right now? Okay, move. That actually might help us out quite a bit. They're already on fire. Oh, man, this is not good. Not what we wanted at all. Oh, good lord. Keep moving. Please keep moving. Through the forest, we're about to get into combat with that fellow. The issue is... Okay, so we have them burning. The issue is we're about to run into the river in a minute, and we're not going to be able to go across. We did kill one of them. We're gonna need to maybe stand our ground right here, and we might be able to finish them off. This Hellbore should go down at some point because it's on fire. Oh yeah, the death pole. I didn't even register until it was too late. I saw the little guy there, the soldier that the Hellbores had killed. I saw him starting to twitch, and I was like, oh no, death pole. And I was like, oh no, death pole. Okay, we might be able to kill the boar with our backs against the wall here. It's pretty badly injured, so we might be able to use our spears if need be. Let's go this. There we go. We killed it. And you dirty son of a bitch. You are next. The third Hellbore. They're a lot scarier when they're resurrected by necromancy. Okay, that one's dead too, and it's already on fire, which is good. Okay, immediately swap over to fire pots. Instead of trying to destroy a nest, we are going to be finishing them off by burning them. Okay, so they should burn. That one Hellbore is already gone. We have one more somewhere that we need to burn. No, it already burned itself. Good, good. That is absolutely perfect. Let's go back, finish off the nest. I don't think that any more are going to come from it, but just in case, I don't want any other Hellbore to find it, you know? I don't want anything like that to happen. We do have a obsidian sword lance. Suppose that could be payment for our efforts here. Major break risk, Maverick, that's fine. Go ahead and sleep since you need to. And the rest of us are actually going to go ahead and destroy this. I would burn it like I talked about, but there we go. It's actually some feathers. Huh. Harp Eagle Oily Feather. That's interesting. That might be useful. And we have Mega Bones. Okay. We could probably use some of that stuff. I do want to also destroy these altars or braziers, statues, whatever they are. Some filthy, cursed ritual trash. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we have actually cleared the area of any and all Hellbores. Now, there's probably some undead wandering around these forests somewhere. I think we should probably start up a pretty decent-sized forest fire. But before I do that, I want to pick up these additional weapons like the sword lance. Let's go ahead and pick all this stuff up. All right. And now we are ready to start some forest fires. Let's burn this shit show down to the ground. Hopefully this will help keep the area clear of monsters furthermore, especially the undead. And it'll also hopefully help us out with getting rid of these death poles in the area. Because it's not just the region that we live in, it's the entire forest that is the issue. Okay. So we kind of got one started there. We'll need to do another here. Here we go. Burn it all, baby. Burn it all. Go ahead and get it there. Okay. Alright, that should be a pretty good start. We'll light a few other spots, and then I think we should be golden. Oh shit, there it is again. The Hellbore. The exact same Hellbore. Oh my god. Okay, we'll burn the Hellbore. Yeah, look, we're gonna start a few more fires. We're gonna burn this shithole to the ground, and we're getting the hell out of here. I'm not going to, die to the same Hellbore that keeps coming back to life, okay? Burn it alive, and let's be done with it. Or not burn it alive, but you know what I mean. There we go. Alright, let's light a few more fires and let's go. And light a few more fires we would indeed, burning down this entire section and region of this damned forest. Lighting on fire all the undead in the area as well. As these skeletons were burning to pieces, we would make our grand escape, heading all the way back home, which we would arrive at shortly thereafter. As we were walking back to the safety of our walls, we heard a boom in the sky with a gleaming light. Several lights. It would seem there's a meteor shower. I don't know how to explain it, but we couldn't shake the feeling that this meteor shower might be some type of retribution almost for burning so many large regions of the forest. Almost like the corruption itself were in pain. Nevertheless, looks like we have plenty of ore to mine now with these meteorites, once we're finished storing all of the things from our journey, that is. I must tell you, my friends, I'm pretty impressed with the significant progress that we've made today. Look at our settlement, how large it is now, with our walls beginning to span half of the area that we plan on building in. At this rate, we might be able to turn this into something of a monster hunting city. That might be a little too ambitious, but we'll see. We've also increased the amount of hunters that we have quite significantly, adding almost half of what we already had. And hopefully here's to many, many more. But that will be next time. See you later. Hello and welcome back to our medieval city, I guess you could call it, to be. A city full and operated by monster hunters. You're looking at 'em, baby. Yes, indeed, my friends. Today we are going to be finishing up our settlement here in these treacherous woodlands in this necromancy forest full of undead and monsters, making it permanent once and for all. Not only for us and our monster hunting guild members, as well as really just the guild overall, but also for all those weary travelers who are looking for that beacon of hope and light before the sun sets on them here, creating a solid foundation in society built on hope in a place where there is none. Alright, enough monologuing, let's get to work. First things first, we have far too many members and not near enough housing for all of them, so we are going to be building a few more cottages and cabins for some proper lodgings for some of the more recent members who have joined us, such as Marie or Maverick. A nice, warm, safe, and secure home with their own little bit of privacy, their own little slice of heaven carved out in these woods, if you will. It's really just a shabby shack, but it's the little things that matter out here. A little bit of time later, and we actually received a pigeon with a note from House Soren. One of their leaders has a friend, or maybe a son, a relative, something like that, who is actually looking to learn about monster hunting and how we do things since we've set up our operations out here. And in exchange, they'd be willing to send someone from House Soren to assist us in our mission of protecting this place and caravans and the innocent and so on and so forth. So, of course, we accepted. This little connoisseur of monster hunting culture was going by the name of Danders and would arrive shortly thereafter, meeting us at the gate and making introductions with all of our hunters. He was a bit nervous, though, specifically around Maverick. Ah, don't worry about her, son. She's only half orc. Just make sure she doesn't catch you stealing any stew from her cottage. To help the two of them get acquainted a little bit better, Maverick would actually show Danders to the cottage that he would be staying in. He was still a little awkward feeling, especially since she decided to sit right in his kitchen and eat some stew, but that's okay. I think maybe she was asserting dominance, kind of like when dogs pee on trees to mark their territory, that kind of thing. Now then, with our guests squared away, enjoying some of our good old-fashioned hospitality, or however much we can afford to show him, I suppose, we have some real work to do. This place, as we know, and as I've mentioned many times, and you're probably sick of hearing me say, is extremely dangerous. These woods are nothing to mess around with, and as such, our top priority right now is going to be finishing up this wall around our would-be city to make sure that the undead stay out, as well as any other monstrous creature with sharp teeth and claws, unless we've got it stowed on the back of a pony with an arrow between its eyes. Finally, after several days and nights of exhaustingly hard work, we would finish up about 3/4 of the wall, with our northwestern side being all that we have left. And then, once that's completed, we need to fill the entire place in with a proper city, of course. I did want to mention, though, I have a pretty simple design here for some of the towers that are going to be incorporated into our walls, and the reason I want to mention these, of course, is these are going to be our entrances in and out of the city, and each of them are going to have a tower on either side of the gates, with some embrasures in them for defensive purposes, of course, allowing us to fire out some primitive firearms, crossbows, a bow and arrow, any type of ranged weaponry really, you name it, and even some fire pots in case we need to light some skeletons on fire, which, let's be honest, around these parts happens more often than you might think. However, construction of our wall would be halted when we noticed that there was an ancient, disgusting-looking troll that had wandered into the area. Now, technically, this monster isn't hostile towards us, yet, but no doubt this son of a bitch has killed many a livestock and possibly even innocent farmer in its day. We're gonna put it down. Down into hell, that is. Well, Danders, you wanted a little sneak peek into our culture, eh? Take this crossbow. You are going to get some first-hand experience, little feller. Oh, by the way, aim for its eyes. Anywhere else and you'll just piss it off. Good luck. Now don't get me wrong, as much as I would like to use Danders to try to lure this troll in as troll bait, I do think it might be best if Sir Garatus is actually the one who does it. Surprisingly, it hasn't attacked us yet. We're gonna have to hit it here probably another time or two to really piss it off. Okay, I don't like that it was right there when it happened, but that's alright. Let's see if we can, yeah, we'll try to lead it out this way. Here we go. There we go. Now, if we could keep it stunned right there, that would be amazing. Let's fire off the cannon. Yes. Alright, Danders. Danders, my boy. Come, come, come. Enjoy. Come get a, get in on the action here, my friend. I'm gonna bring Sir Garatus up this way. Danders? Danders, I need you. There you go. Making sure Danders can shoot at it as well. This is how we prefer to do our troll hunting, I must say, behind some nice, safe walls. Let's get Danielle in here, too. Now, trolls actually have a pretty significant healing ability, so the cannons are an absolute must, even if it may seem a bit silly. Let's rearm that one. I need this one manned. Try to get another shot off at it to stun it again, if we can. And I'm going to try to rearm that one. We're out of ammo for both of them, which, that was a lot of cannons. That was a lot of cannon fire. Oh shit, here it comes. Alright, we might actually, yeah, we're going to have to step back. Hit it with a torch dial. There we go. So we do have it stunned slightly. It is going to come across there, though. And we will attempt to do our best here at killing it once more. I am going to stun it. It did not get stunned. Most likely where we already done it, though. Let's see if we can hit it with a fire pot. No. Let's get moving up this way. With it being as injured as it is from the cannons, we should be able to kill it with enough arrow, fire, but still. It's still an extremely dangerous creature. We've basically wounded it and backed it into a corner, even though it's kind of getting us into a corner, actually. Danders, you need to be careful there, Danders. You are about to experience a little bit too much of the monster hunting culture. Oh my. We definitely... Oh, damn it, Danders. No, 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 no. You're going to get killed, Danders. Careful. Oh, shit. Ah, Danders. Alright, somebody get Danders. Damn amateur. Well, now you'll... Oh, no, I forgot. They get back up very easily. Wait. We need to kill it, people. It got back up. That's a little, very concerning, come to think of it. Danders. There we go. The problem is trolls constantly get back up. I want Minotaur. Damn you. They fall and then they get right back up. There we go. Finally. Finally, we killed it. Their healing abilities are insane. Let's get Danders tended to. Damn dirty amateur. And then we'll let you pose and maybe get a painting or something next to the kill. That way you can take it home and tell all your pals at House Soren about how good you did. Since our house and yours have something of an alliance, I suppose we'll use some of our decent medicine on you. Plus, keeping you alive is the only way that we'll get another member, so that's what we'll do. This did make me think as well. Relying on wild medicines to grow out in the forest and going out to find them and collect them isn't exactly completely reliable, honestly. So we're going to start growing our own little field of cotton and fly agaric. I believe that's how you pronounce it. It's a natural medicine that we can actually use to tend to our wounds, and with a bit of research, perhaps we can even use it as well as heal root to make some higher grade medicines. With that completed, let's start doing some construction. No, not on our wall this time around, although we do need to get back to work on that fairly soon. I think everyone could really use a bit of a celebration for all their hard work. And so we're going to be turning our little tower here into something of a grand dining hall. A place large enough for us as well as all of our visitors and guests to eat, enjoy each other's company, get warm by the hearth, so on and so forth. But also a place for festivals and parties. Now, as house members of the House of the Rotten Boar, we do celebrate the Feast of the Rotten Boar once per year. But, as the Monster Hunters Guild of the Unyielding Light, perhaps we have our own festival, known as the Feast of Troll's Heart, to celebrate this grand occasion. It's quite momentous to take down your first troll, and so I feel we should celebrate it. The celebration shall be set for the 12th of December, which is actually tomorrow, which is perfect because we have a troll to butcher to make troll steak, sizzling meat of delicious fatty texture, as well as plenty of potato stew and soup to boil. All this food and what have you would take us all day to prep, but we got it done just in time for the feast. Gather around one and all. I know, it's been a treacherous, dreary journey thus far ever since we arrived here and set up our guild, but today marks a change. We're gonna start partying, we're gonna start trying to enjoy ourselves while protecting the realm. Please, please help yourselves to the finest cuts of troll steak as well as some of that potato soup. Perhaps we'll even tell a few jokes about how Dander's got his arm almost ripped off by said troll. Oh, you dumbass. Or perhaps some of us will find love. Oh my. Apparently Sir Gerardus flirted with Marie by complimenting her family history and background. Oh wow, and now the two are lovers. Truly though, I think that this little flame may have started when he rescued her from that cave of monsters, wooed her and swooned her off her feet. Well, is it just me or is it hot in here? Or perhaps it's that giant pyre that we burn corpses on? Well, either way, I think a fellow with a lover needs a proper home, a much larger home, and seeing that Sir Gerardus is the captain of our monster hunting guild, this is only fitting as well. We're going to be building him quite a large cottage just to the north above the tower. It shall have some of life's finer things like shelves with books on them, some proper drinking chalices, a nice rack for some weapons, a fur, soft bed. Oh my god, truly living lavish out here in the woods, eh? A lavish, luxurious life for two. Truly, I'm quite glad that Sir Gerardus has finally found someone, as well as Marie. They both deserve someone. Each other, even. Well, we've gotten ourselves a fine holiday, a great big troll hunt, and also our captain has found a lover. What could be better than that? Well, not much. But a second best would be finishing off this damned wall so that we're all safe and sound. Especially because in recent days, the number of death pools that have been encompassing the area and laying forth a thick soot onto the land have been increasing. However, in the middle of construction, we got word that we had some visitors from a nearby village coming through the forest, and they were requesting to stay here. Obviously, we couldn't turn them down, but the problem was we didn't have any guest beds yet. Nevertheless, we will assure their safety. The caped and hooded adventurer would arrive from the southwest and quickly make their way towards our fort. We ushered them inside post-haste. We've killed most things and burned their corpses in recent days, but the death pool is nothing to mess around with. If we were to have missed a skeleton or two, they could come and try to kill this young adventurer. Best you stay inside and enjoy your troll stew. In the meantime, young Danders here is going to be heading back home. Oh, I hope you've enjoyed your time with us, my friend. Sorry about the troll almost killing you and all that. Let's hope that your medieval home is not all that upset about it either, eh? We would usher him off and also escort him to the gates, at which point his counterpart, Yefim, would meet him halfway and also would join us as a true monster hunter. Welcome aboard, friend. You're a little bit old to be monster hunting, aren't you? I know they said that you were a grizzled veteran of many of House Soren's wars, but I didn't know that that meant you were ancient. Almost mistook you for a walking corpse. Look, Grandad, I mean no disrespect, but I need the best of the best. Just try to keep up, okay? And perhaps, if you have the time, lend a helping hand to the others who are finishing up our wall. We need to ensure that we... Oh, shit. Great. Looks like the fort is under assault by the Undead. An entire horde of them. Luckily, it doesn't seem that any are carrying any weapons, except for their leader, who is a death knight with a massive sword and shield. Oh man. Again, they seem to be more intelligent than we ever gave them credit for, coming from the side where our wall is unfinished, and coming right in as we make a strategic retreat back further towards the south. This seems to be a group of 15 of them. I'm going to be using our bows for obvious reasons. I want to try to stun them if and when we can, but there are far too many of them here. I want to try to lead them through the town. That's really about all we can do, I think. Yeah, we need to be very careful here. Just an entire little wave of them. Yefim only has a short bow. That's all we had in storage. Oh no, get us here. Let's go through this way. Okay. They just barely missed us. Let's go, 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 go. Go this way. I'm trying to stay as far away from them as possible, but Yefim only has a short bow. That's all we had. We don't have any decent bows, unfortunately. At least none that we could spare. Sounds like they're beating the absolute hell out of our town. Oh god, the Death Knight. He destroyed our well, one of our water wells. Go. I like this idea of divide and conquer, essentially taking them through the town. They're going to end up getting lost. Though they might seem smarter than we initially gave them credit for, they're not the most intelligent creatures ever. So we have one over here beating on our walls and gates. I have another one up here. We have one here. We have some over there towards the other gate. Let's see if we can take out their Death Knight. He is definitely going to be the toughest of all. Thankfully, the death pall has already subsided, it would seem, so we don't have to worry about them raising. Okay. Uh-oh. We have a little one coming right for us. Oh, we managed to kill the Death Knight. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And they're fleeing? The undead are fleeing? How strange. It's almost as if someone or something is influencing their decisions. So unusual. Alright, what we need to do... First and foremost, we need to finish off any and all of them that are still alive. And then immediately, we need to start burning their corpses at the pyre, which needs refuel. This Death Knight, on the other hand, is going to get butchered, though. Yes, because we want some of the steel from his unique ancient armor, as this steel is going to be quite useful for us. There we go. 50 steel from the Death Knight. We could butcher the others. I don't really care. I'm not too worried about it. They don't give as much steel, so if we burn them or butcher them, as long as they're no longer around, that is what is important. I'm actually going to let Minotaur start cremating them. Yes, burn, burn, you filthy, disgusting, undead swine. No more of this in our neck of the woods. This is no longer a forest of the undead, I'm afraid, you poor saps. This is for the living and for the hunters. We're looking pretty good if we can manage to get this finished up before the next wave of undead or monsters or whoever. We do have a lot of corpses. We have other Death Knights that we've killed recently that need to be cremated. We also have cursed bears. We need to get rid of all of these with some cremating ASAP before another death pole sets in, because that would really, really suck to have to fight another wave of them. But regardless, it would seem that we have kept our current visitor and guest completely safe during the assault of corpses, which is a huge step up from the first time when the elves almost died. We don't have to mention it. Now with that, we would finally finish up our wall, completing it once and for all. And would you look at that? Finally, a properly secure, safe, and encompassed city, fully encompassed by a grand marble and also a little bit of limestone stone wall. This is a crucial and monumentous accomplishment that I am quite proud of. Finally, we are no longer a simple foothold here in this necromancy forest, but a permanent monument. A few days later, and we had received word about 4 desperate refugees who were approaching the fortress. Their leader, Lewis, apparently claims that they had lost their village in a recent attack by monsters and beasts of the night. They're unsure where they are, where they went, or what they were. This claim seems a bit outlandish, or misinformed. How would they not know what they were? I suppose it could have been dark when it all happened, of course, with it being at night. They seem like some decent, honest folk, and we are all about helping people. Very well, you may all stay with us for a time until you're back on your feet. But if you're going to be staying here for longer than a night or two, you're gonna have to work to earn your keep. Yeah, sure, we're all about helping people when and where we can, but we still have places to be, things to build, meals to cook, and a quota to meet, of course. So, we could use a helping hand from time to time. We definitely wouldn't turn one down. Speaking of which, we hadn't even counted on having any refugees or nomads that would have been staying with us for quite some time. We had only threw down a few sleeping spots in the tower for any weary travelers for, as mentioned, a night or two. That being said, we are going to be building something of a... I don't know, what would you call this? Maybe slums or something like that? Basically, some very low cost and quite simple housing for any refugees or nomads who end up joining us, such as the four that are currently gracing us with their presence for a while. Well, regardless of what it would be called, we ended up finishing this large building with a nice outdoor seating area where they can actually eat their meals, store their things, and then, during the night, whenever they're ready to rest, go into their tiny little rooms and get some much-needed shut-eye. Again, it's not much, but beggars can't be choosers, especially not in this forest, am I right? Our special medicine was also finally grown out in the field, and it was time to harvest. But you know what? This gives me an idea. What if we start setting up some proper specialized buildings now that we have a vast majority of the residential areas set up in our city? And so it was. We started working on an apothecary and/or witch doctor area, depending on how you look at it. Some lucky quack is going to get to work here in the very near future as our town's doctor. Not only would this be a wonderful place for us to go about making different types of potions and serums, but it would also be a wonderful place for us to go about tending to our wounded whenever they may need a little pick-me-up like herbal medicine or other types. And this would also be used as a storage place for those said medicines as well. Battle elixirs, maybe something to fight erectile dysfunction, I don't know. Funny enough though, Sajaki here actually ended up requesting to join us. He enjoyed his stay here so much, and obviously it's not like he has a home to return to, so we would accept. Do you remember a moment ago I was saying that some lucky quack is going to get to work in our apothecary shop? Well, little did I know that the gods had already sent us one, in the form of Sajaki, who just so happens to be a practiced doctor. What are the odds? This actually is a pretty incredible coincidence. We let him into our storehouse. Take what you need, anything at all, Sajaki. Just whip us up some decent medicine and maybe one of those potions we were talking about a moment ago. I'm just kidding. Unless... Listen, I'm dying to get back to the monster hunting, but it's going to take us a hot minute before we can go about doing that, because our population has been absolutely booming, exponentially so in the last few weeks, and as such, we don't have enough housing, we also don't have enough bathtubs or places for people to wash and use the restroom, which is currently what we're working on with a bathhouse. I do want to touch, though, on the fact that a moment ago, of course I'm saying I do want to get back to monster hunting. We don't actually have any monsters to hunt at the moment, also why I've decided to take this opportunity to build up our city, like with this wonderful bathhouse that you see in front of you now. Not only is this a bathhouse, but this is one where we can actually boil water using burning coals and logs. Yes, not only do we get to take a bath, but it's not the lukewarm lake water anymore. It's actually warm and hot water on occasion. A little something that we learned how to build from the capital city of the Rotten Boar House. An engineering marvel in this day and age, truly. Now, going along with what I said earlier about the population being crazily increased here recently, We also don't have enough food to feed everybody, so we're making a great big field of cabbage, potatoes, and peas right up here to the northwest in the city. And this new field of crops should solve our little hunger issues for the rest of our city's duration. And if not, we'll just expand it. Once we had finished this field, though, we had noticed a gigantic dragon? Snake? No, it has legs. A Lindworm, some type of giant reptilian-looking creature, had entered the land. Normally, unless monsters are vicious or evil, we don't really give a shit. But, as Sajaki had pointed out, he believes that this is the same creature that had destroyed their home. Remembering their scent and tracking them down to our little Lux Intinibbrris here in the forest. Very well, tonight we dine on reptile, but first we'll need to prepare our attack. We don't need a repeat of the troll almost nabbing one of us and ripping their arms off, no. We need to start preparing some proper weapons behind our embrasures. We do already have a couple of cannons at this side of the wall, but a couple of rock boxes in both towers should help out quite a bit. This will allow us to dump boulders on top of its head, stunning it and rendering it injured while we continue shooting at it with cannons and arrows. So here's the deal. Allow me to tell you our plan of attack. I am going to pause just for the moment. We have folks on our cannons, of course, and we also have a person by each rock box ready to activate it. The problem is you don't man the rock box, you have to activate it at a specific time. The Lindworm is out here, and is actually coming a little bit towards us. I'm going to attempt to hit it with our cannons. We're going to piss it off, and it is going to see myself and Dial at the gates and attempt to come and get us, leading it closer so that we may actually hit it with our rock boxes, right? We're going to have to make sure we do this at an appropriate time, otherwise we're going to get bit. And why Dial and myself? You might ask. Well, my young squire and I am a knight of much renown and honor, and of course bravery, and that ties into this, because this is a very brave thing to do, and Dial, my young squire, is just as brave, with plenty of heart. So, we fear nothing, not even this devilish beast. And with that, I am going to go ahead and launch some cannons at this big-ass snake. We have stunned it. Oh, and we're making the crows fly off. It actually might be a good idea. Come out here and attack it as well. I know my bow will hit it. We're hitting it with the cannons from a distance. We might not even... Nah, we'll definitely need to piss it off. It's... Oh my god. From the cannons, it has a single bruise. This may have been a huge mistake, I'm not gonna lie to you. Let's hold fire on the cannons, okay? I don't want to use up all our ammo, and we're gonna have Dial back here, and myself, I'm gonna wait. That's actually insane that the cannons only slightly bruised it. Here it comes, here it comes. Let's set up our cannons to aim for about right there, and hope that they can manage to hit it to stun it. They did a little bit. They did a little bit. That's good. So a lot of us are actually able to hit it with our bows from here, which is good. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Can we hit it with a fire pot? I don't want to get too close. Let's see if we can start hitting it with fire pots. We have to be very careful because we could get hit by our own cannons. I would try to rearm the cannons, but I don't... Oh my god! Okay, so Lindworm is down. However, that was very close. Thank God we only got bruised from that. That could have been really bad. Like, lose limbs kind of bad. Oh my god, that would have been horrific. Whew, that was a very close call. Normally, we are the ones to kill these creatures. However, since our guest here are the ones who lost their home to it, perhaps they should get their gallon of blood. Their pound of flesh, if you will. Let's beat it to death. This is what it feels like, you monster. Ah, and with that, your reign of terror is over, you disgusting, vile piece of lizard shit. We didn't even have to use the rock boxes. That's actually a lot easier. The cannon's done much better than I thought they would. With the troll, we didn't have that earlier, but you know what? We didn't have as many people, and I wasn't nearly as well prepared as I should have been, so that probably has something to do with it. No holiday for the Lindworm, but I am going to butcher it, I'll tell you that much, and we are going to eat it. The thing about Lindworms, too, not only should we get some flesh and meat, of course, that we can eat and hide, that we can tan, and blah, 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 but I think with Lindworms you also get scales, which you can use to make armor. Yes. So we have 2 broad scales, and we actually have its hide. Ooh, we also have its blood. Oh my god. It's so corrosive that it could melt through plate armor. Well, it's a good thing it didn't get close enough to bite Sir Geratus, otherwise it probably would have melted straight through my armor and went into my flesh and killed me. That didn't happen, thank God. However, the Lindworm scales are impervious to the Lindworm's acidic, poisonous saliva. Perhaps Miniton here could whip us up something out of that. Maybe not armor, we don't have enough scales, but maybe something else. A shield, perhaps. I would prefer to have my entire body encased and protected by the scales, but that's okay. A shield at least is mobile, so I can move to protect myself as needed, and it goes perfectly with my spear. Always best to try to keep your distance when poking or prodding a monster in the ribs, or in the eyes. Or at all, really. Now that we've cleared out any killer beast from the area for the time being, I also want to go ahead and expose us to the elements. And by that I mean tear down our old walls and towers, that way we can build new ones. In particular at our southern entrance, where previously we just had the big opening like the one that the troll came through earlier without really suffering any repercussions, except once he was inside the city, of course. But we are going to be building our 2-tower style down here with cannons and rock boxes, as well as some spike traps and wood barricades. This one, again, will be left open, that way enemies and monsters are enticed to come through this way instead. And just in case for some reason they're able to get past our defenses, or perhaps maybe we just don't make it down here in time to fend off whatever is coming through, we are actually going to be building a second layer of defenses. Something of a small open courtyard that is going to have even more traps, wooden barricades, and a spiked log wall. Yes, not exactly the most defensive wall, but again, this is a secondary defense, and if we need to, we can also fall back here or even behind it and fire through the embrasures of the log wall. But during all this construction, it would seem that the captain has proposed to his lovely, well, I suppose fiancé now, eh? In the coming months, they will be getting married. And by then, when they do, I hope to have an entire city finished. Perhaps we'll even invite the Jarl and his lovely family. But until then, the Jarl will want us to continue carrying out our duties as his loyal servant and knight. And one of those duties, of course, our most important duty, is to the fine people of the realm coming through this way. And as we've seen, we did create something of a refugee area for our friends currently staying with us. But what we don't currently have is a spot for all of those visitors who are only going to be staying a night or two, who previously have been sleeping on the floor of our tower, and that is a no-can-do. Not anymore. We are building something of a long hut, or a long house, I suppose you could call it. A simple shelter that can house up to 6, yes count 'em, 6 people for a few nights. This could be a spot for even the smaller caravans, or maybe just larger traveling parties, but the point I'm trying to get to here is that we have a larger place with more room for more people. The beds may only be some straw instead of nice, comfy, warm furs, but it sure beats sleeping on the floor of the tower, let me tell you. And with that, we're also going to be working on a few other specialized shops around the settlement here as well. This is going to be our tailoring shop, where not only are we going to be making clothing, capes, cloaks, things like that, but as well we'll be doing some taxidermy, mending, and also spinning of things like our cotton, which has recently been harvested. Now, of course, we don't plan on selling anything or making anything like that for any visitors or travelers, but mending and making clothing for us, as this is a permanent settlement, is going to be quite important over the next few years. We're also building some quick dirt pathing, packing in the dirt, cutting down all the grass and trees and brambles and bushes. That way we can move around this place much more freely and much more easily. Just in case it seems a bit odd as to why a Monster Hunters Guild would be setting up a city here, well, for one, we want a permanent settlement, and a city is going to be the best way to go about doing that. We're not doing any trading or anything like a capital city of the House of the Rotten Boar, but we are setting up a city where we're going to have all the amenities and shops like blacksmithing and tailoring that we're going to need to continue serving these lands in this region, this entire realm, essentially. These are must-haves given the situation, the time period, and everything above. And of course, Sir Geratus was around and took part in a vast majority of the building of the capital city, so it only makes sense this would be something that he's quite familiar with. And it's fun. Also, it works. With a majority of our city finally constructed, Sam here, after all of her hard labor and lounging in our lodgings that we've provided for her, has decided she likes it enough and she can overcome her fears of Great Beast just to join us. Of course, we accept. And with our new monster hunter joining us, I think it's time that we put our smithy to good use, making her some proper chainmail and a nice helm. Ah, there we are, finally ready to take on the hellish horrors that plague this world. You're gonna do great out there, Sam. I have the utmost faith in you. You just take the pointy end of the spear and try to poke really hard whatever's coming at you. You got this. Ah, and would you look at that? A group of travelers coming from House Ambroise, coming to stay in our new longhouse. Yes, come, my friends, throw a log on the fire, have an apple, have some hearty stew, maybe rest in the bed. You're safe here. As they were resting, we would also end up having some elves coming through the region who would also stop in to rest here and to lounge with us for a night or two. I think we're gonna need to build another longhouse, or just some larger quarters in general. We're getting full capacity pretty quickly. The visitors from House Amboys were so happy about their stay here, they decided to leave us a gift of silver to help fund our operation. Mighty kind of you folks. Not required, of course, but very much appreciated. Throughout this episode, my friends, we have truly made a safe city for all travelers, visitors, caravans, so on and so forth, coming through the region, and I am quite proud of it. But all good things must come to an end. Oh, the city? No. Our refugee friends are leaving. Of course, though, there were only 4 of them, and 2 of them have decided to join us in our cause here of protecting the realm from monsters, so they would be seeing their 2 friends off into the forest. Godspeed on your travels. You know, most people of the realm would caution you against kindness, because kindness can be taken advantage of. But in our case, our kindness, our valor, and bravery of accepting those in desperate need and in hard situations who require safety, who require heroes, has only given us more kindness. It would appear it's contagious. But our city, our hope in the dark, our refuge to those in need is only going to continue getting larger and stronger, and so are our forces with any luck. Beasts and bastards beware, for protecting the realm is our sacred duty. name is Girodis, and you probably already knew that though, of course, because we may have met before. Or perhaps you've just heard from the grapevine about my courage and bravery as a monster hunter. Or perhaps as the Jarl's loyal knight. So that also means you already know about the city that we've started working on here in this necromancy Duskwood biome forest of undead and living nightmares that occasionally come to try to kill people, and how we are hunting them down as well as any other monsters. Oh, you are up to speed? Great. Well, today we will finally be finishing up our city for our monster hunting guild, once and for all a permanent foothold. The boot of man firmly sitting tightly on the neck of all beasts and bastards. To begin today, we have a great big harvest of cabbage from our field, which got me thinking we need a proper place to store all this. Thus far, we've just been throwing it into the cupboards and, of course, the cellar of our tower, but we're quickly running out of room to put all our food. So our first addition to our city today is going to be a proper storehouse, somewhere where we can have many cellars in the ground as well as a few dug pits with a little straw floor to store all of our food in the cool earth below. Not only does this give us more room to store things, but with it being much cooler, that also means that our cabbage as well as other vegetables and crops are not going to be rotting near as quickly either, which is quite crucial. Those of you with a keen eye probably noticed as well that it's actually built into the defensive walls around our tower within the center of the city. I have discussed previously how if something bad were to really happen, if shit really hits the fan and we needed to, we would actually evacuate, retreat back to this middle spot for our last stand to defend ourselves. And if that were to happen, say we're under siege, I want to ensure that we have enough food here to last us for months on end. After this was constructed, we ended up having a group of goats, lost or abandoned, perhaps, maybe in one of the caravans attacked by monsters, that had arrived basically at our doorstep. So we quickly took them in, building a decent-sized pen on the eastern side of the city to store them. You might wonder why we even care all that much about these goats. Why don't we just slaughter them now and eat them? Surely they can't be worth the trouble of raising and breeding just for meat. Well, they really aren't, except for the fact that they also give us goat's milk, which is high in fat content, which is perfect for surviving through winters. When the gods hand you free food, you don't ask them why, you just take a bite. And since we're also going to be raising domesticated livestock here, we're going to be setting up a proper place to go about tanning and processing leathers and furs. This way we can use these materials to make ourselves some wonderful apparel, of course. We've been doing this thus far, but basically we've only threw up a few tanning racks in our tower and other spots. We have yet to have a dedicated building. But you might be saying to yourself, Rat Knight, okay, that's fine, but how does this pertain to monster hunting? Aren't you supposed to be monster hunters? Well, my friends, allow me to show you. With these leathers, we are already starting to make some appropriate apparel that will help us in our quest of hunting monsters, such as arrow quivers. We would ensure that every single one of our hunters would have their own quiver chock full of arrows. That way, we can ensure that they never run out, and also because having a quiver means that it takes less time for them to fire off more arrows. This could mean the difference between life and death if a giant troll or some other bastard has your back against the wall. We're also going to begin mining out plenty of iron in the nearby mountains. Steel, of course, is preferable for weapons and armor, but iron is cheap and much faster to process. So we're gonna try to streamline a decent bit of armor and weaponry for all of our hunters, especially as our population continues to grow. As we mine, Dial will begin the task of smelting down all this ore into some proper, workable ingots. But it wasn't just iron that we were going to be mining out of the mountain. Of course, we found other things like jewels and different types of minerals like limestone and marble, but also we are going to be mining out a facility here to add on to the city. This is actually going to be a containment facility for monsters that we might want to study, as well as our research laboratory. However, as we were mining, we realized that right in the middle of this mountain was an ancient structure with walls made of bone. Naturally, the only solution here was to gather up all our hunters from the city and infiltrate. That way we could clear it out of whatever lie within. But after we did so, it would seem the place was empty. From our torchlight, we could see a few scattered papers and ancient books, but that was about it, except for all the dark smeared blood all over the ground, which was dried up in an ancient crust itself. Within one of the rooms, we found some type of sacrificial altar. Inscribed upon the front of it was a passage about another dimension, and a necromancer, Lich Queen, a bunch of hogwash if you ask me. Within the other room were 3 corpses, 2 of which appeared to be some type of monstrous beings, and the third, in the center of the room, was a knight, dressed in a gold gilded plate armor. Oddly enough, he still had his skin, unlike the monsters who had rotted away, almost as if his soul were sucked from his body, leaving nothing but a dried flesh. This reminded Sir Garatus of those disturbing nightmares he's had about a Lich Queen recently, perhaps the same described in the altar. Well, it would also seem that this grand gilded knight had left behind a mighty ancient sword as well, still in great shape. That is quality metal there. We gave it to Dial to keep. Well, regardless of if this is connected to Sir Garatus' nightmares of this Lich Queen necromancer mommy, we are going to be destroying this filthy altar and this disgusting shrine, taking this place for ourselves. The world of men has no place for this sick necrotic worship. The steel from the altar will be melted down into arrowheads so that we may use it to kill the very things that it used to worship. Seems fitting. Poetic even. Now then, time to clean the place up a little bit. We're going to be torching the corpses of those monsters. We could have done this back at our pyre, but I was afraid to walk them out on our shoulders in the death pall in case they sprung back to life. We've never encountered these before, so best we not have to at all. We would also use a lot of the bone to build a proper sarcophagus for the Gilded Knight. To me, it looked like this great big warrior had taken down those 2 monsters before bleeding out himself, and for that, I suppose he deserves a bit of honor and respect, doesn't he? And now finally, with all that out of the way, we have a proper research facility just waiting to be taken over, but we still need to complete our monster containment cells. I'm not sure what we're going to be storing in here. Maybe a Lindworm or something. Something that we need to do some research on so that we can better grasp how to kill them in the future. Maybe some undead? Who knows? We'll see. Once the cells had finally been completed, we had a grand ceremony to attend. The marriage of Sir Garatus and Marie. Ah, these 2 lovebirds. Look how happy they seem together. Their affectionate feelings shining like a bright lantern in all this gloomy darkness. Once the 2 of them had tied the knot, it was time for us all to celebrate with a nice big feast of stew and different types of vegetables like cabbage and potatoes. It's such a shame that the Jarl couldn't make it. We were all dying to have a drink with him. Perhaps at a later date though. I know he wouldn't leave us hanging. We would party through the night, winding down into the early hours of the morning, at which point an elven caravan had told us of one of their companions being lost just north of our city. Apparently a prospector and his wife. They believe the 2 of them may have been captured and or killed by monsters during their lost stupor. So I suppose we should consider this as something of a honeymoon mission, eh? Quite fitting given our profession. However, before we go, we do have plenty of iron ingots finally forged, and I think it's time for us to properly forge some of that armor that we were talking about out of it. First and foremost, we're actually going to be making everyone their very own iron round shield. Not exactly the perfect type of shield, nor anything too fancy, but quick and efficient to make. Next up, we began actually smithing some proper armor, with this being some chainmail mittens for every single one of our hunters, as well as some iron plate boots, protecting all of our tiny little digits, our fingers, and our toesies. Again, we want these to become the standard for all of our hunters. Now, of course, everyone who joins us normally ends up coming with their own armor, or they just equip whatever that we have in storage. But we want some things to be a constant, ensuring that everyone has ample protection for their tiny little ligaments and things of that nature, of course. And also, with all of this in tow, it's time for us to head out. We would immediately begin trekking north to where the prospector and his wife were last seen by their elven companions. Though this travel is going to take some time, so we'll check back in a moment. In the meantime, back home, we are going to be working on the containment facility as well as our research laboratory. Not only where we'll be studying monsters, but also different technologies. This will actually kind of go hand in hand with our apothecary, as he is our doctor, but also kind of our researcher and our scientist, and the medieval professions all kind of blend together sometimes, you understand. But as you can see, we have all the necessary production areas as well as facilities that anyone would need to research anything. Especially things like Lindworms and living corpses, I feel. With that, it would seem that the captain and the others have finally arrived at this little mining site. At the cave's entrance, we spotted a few torches quickly extinguished by the pouring rain, as well as a shovel, some mining equipment, maps, and even research papers. I would hazard a guess that that is exactly where our elves are. Alright everyone, prepare yourselves. It looks like we have a little bit of digging to do. God only knows what is underneath those rocks. So we've already arrived here at the front. It looks like their mine that they've created has collapsed on top of them. With any luck, they might actually still be in there. Who is my miner? Marie is actually the best miner that we have, so let's go ahead and gather around her to prepare ourselves here. We'll go ahead and get rid of this rock so that we may enter. Whatever waits for us inside here, I do have everyone with their shields. I am going to send Yefim in first and foremost. In a close quarters place like this, I think that the short sword would be best. Oh, alright, what do we have here? Let's gather around and investigate. We have Greffel. Greffile? We will offer you help. Oh, it appears that she has joined our group. Not exactly what we were expecting, I suppose. I think this must be her husband, the prospector. What exactly were you looking for in here, Greffel? Oh, we have light back here, barely gleaming through the rock. Looks like this has been collapsed as well. Greffel does not seem all that keen on us entering this area. No doubt this is where the monsters must be hiding. We'll send her outside, simply because we don't need her getting in the way anyhow, just in case. Myself, Dials, Danielle, and Marie will all gather around here. We're gonna need to mine this out. I'll let Marie go ahead and start doing so. And Yefim, eager to prove himself as one of our newest monster hunters, is going to be ready to tackle these beasts. Look at these bone necropolis, tomb crypt looking walls here. Hard to say. What are we dealing with? Some type of blood shrine, and we appear to have Alps, which are these unusual human-like creatures without any eyes. We don't know all that much about them, but they are pale creatures of the night that apparently invade the dreams of other creatures. I wonder if they might have something related to the visions and disturbing nightmares Sir Geratus has been having, but I don't know for sure, of course. It apparently seems they have frail bones. And these are things that we have learned about them in the books over the years, of course. The fact that they killed this lady's husband is a little concerning, although I think we should be able to take them. We're gonna let Yefim come in and start killing. Let's go ahead, and everyone is going to gather up behind Yefim with their bows to try to finish them off. Or to try to shoot them, of course. The Alps will attempt to put us to sleep. That's the issue. There we go. Come on, Yefim. Yes! We're gonna slaughter these freaks. Can we get over there? Yes. Alright. Matter of fact, let's get Dial in here. We are going to toss a firebomb on top of it. Okay, we need to be quite careful though, as we might end up hurting Sergulatus. There we go. Use the shield to our advantage. Ah, this one is still alive. Could be perfect for our containment. Okay, we need to get out of here because foolishly I lit this fire and now the entire place is getting burning hot. We've got the Alp. I'm going to drop it and I'm actually going to start tending to it. Let's go ahead and I want to deconstruct this. That way the place isn't burning. I do think we should also give Greffiel's husband a proper burial as well. It would be quite rude of us not to do that. You can actually let her go about doing that if she so chooses. So we'll go ahead and dig him a quick grave by the pond. Truthfully, in this day and age and in these times, it's better than what most people get. We'll go ahead and allow her to bury her poor husband. She might be a bit concerned as to why we're tending to the Alp instead of finishing it off, but as monster hunters, our new friendo, we need to do a bit of research. I'm sure you could understand, even though it did slaughter your husband before your very eyes. Not to worry, once we're finished though, we will kill the creature, of course. We will go throughout here, see if there's anything useful that we could take with us. Perhaps some of these blood candles and urns could be of use to us, although I'm not exactly sure for what. Maybe research purposes? But then we are going to start heading back home immediately. And so we would, with our new monster Alp in tow, hog-tied on our backs. Not to worry, we'll take turns carrying the frail little beast. But of course, this travel back home is going to take quite some time. In the meantime, back home, we had a dark elf caravan arriving at our city. At first, we thought they slave traders and had no interest in doing business with them. But it turns out these are no slaves at all. These are Dark Elf prisoners. We decided to do business with him. You see, in Dark Elf culture, even the simplest of crimes could have you locked up and sold off as a prisoner, so some of these folks might be thieves. Or perhaps all three of them are despicable monsters, worse than the creatures we've been slaying. Either way, regardless of what they've done in the past, this is a chance for them to redeem themselves, to protect the world of men, the realm of the living, against monsters and undead alike. And if they are irredeemable, at least they'll die in battle and won't be disturbing this world anymore. Alright then, you lot, get your asses out there and get some equipment on. Ah, now that is a little bit better. You're still missing a lot of crucial pieces of armor and whatnot. I guess we'll go ahead and work on those for you. We'll also be keeping a close eye on you. This caravan also had me thinking, though, you know, where would they stay if they needed a place in the city? We've discussed this before. We have plenty of room for visitors or even small caravans, but something this size, if we have more dark elves, or realistically any caravan of this size coming to visit, to trade, or even if they just need a place to stay away from all the beast in the forest, we don't have a spot for them. Our longhouse here isn't near enough capacity, and even if it were, normally the merchants in these caravans are some higher quality folks, or at least they like to think they are, and they don't like to sleep in the same place as their caravan guards. So we are actually going to be building something of an inn specifically for caravan merchants. We're going to have 3 decent-sized rooms that are also going to be decently furnished for these merchants. I don't expect that we'll have more than 3 caravans in the city at one time. That would be basically a small army. So I'm not all that concerned with the capacity of this area. I think this will be plenty. You may also notice that these nice rooms for the merchants are the only beds thus far that we plan on charging folks for. The way I see it, if we are going to go to the trouble of giving them their own nice rooms to accommodate their egos, then they can go about paying us a small fee at the very least. And since they are most definitely going to have more guards, we're also going to build yet another long house, a bit of a smaller one, just to the east of the one that we already built, and a little bit to the southeast of this little hotel, or inn, I guess you could call it, for the merchants. Somewhere nearby, that way they don't have to travel all that far. And I suppose for now they could just hitch their muffalo and ancient deer in their caravans, along with our goats. It's better than nowhere at all. Finally though, later into the night, our caravan would finally return home. And the first thing we did was take our new monster as companion to his holding cell so that he could be studied. He was beginning to starve, and obviously we can't study him if he's dead, so we started to feed him. He apparently liked to suck the marrow from the bones of each kill in our hunts. Very unusual, but okay. You know, if he wasn't this pale goblin-like creature that didn't have any eyes and also didn't like to kill people, he's kinda cute. Might make for a nice pet even. Although I suppose that's really going to be up to Sajaki to determine, eh? Let the research commence. But the monster wasn't our only guest that had come along with us. Greffiel, or Grefile, however you pronounce it, the widowed elf woman, has decided to stay with us here. Apparently she has no life to go back to, as her husband was her entire life. Very depressing. Well, lucky for you as well as us, ma'am, even though you're not much of a fighter, your profession as an amateur archaeologist means that you are quite intelligent, and we are always looking for more researchers to help us out with our studies. For now, you can start helping us figure out how to create our very own carts that pulled by animals, of course, an easy mode of transportation, all the while Sajaki is researching the Alp creature. Now we're going to begin working on filling in the rest of the city. As you can see, we're putting in more pathing for ease of access and mobility throughout the entire place, but we're also adding in a few small little areas where we're going to be planting crops like hay grass to feed our new goats. And since our population of hunters are increasing once more, we're also just throwing in a few residential buildings, cottages for them to live in, of course. Nothing too special here, nothing we haven't already seen 100 times, so I won't waste too much time on it. That being said, though, I do want to mention that these cottages are pretty bare bones for the most part, and I would like to change that. You know, we have so much food, and really I want to share our bountiful resources with every single member of our Monster Hunter Guild. And so you'll notice throughout the cottages now we have some nice cheese pantries and things like that for everyone. But this isn't something that we're reserving only for the members of the Guild of the Unyielding Light. No, of course not. This is also going to be something that we share with all of our visitors and guests. It would seem we also finally finished that research into carts, finally able to build some of our own. Looks like we have some shamblers to deal with first, though. A giant horde of the undead coming right for our walls. They are immediately beating the absolute shit out of our walls. It's literally going to be a miracle if we don't end up losing these walls. Oh my god. Okay. And we accidentally destroyed our own cannon. Bit of an oopsie, bit of an oversight. Oh my god. We did kill some of them, I guess, so it's not too bad. Oh shit, that scared me though. We're gonna try to hit them with some fire pots if we can. Start burning them. We have to be careful with how close we do this though. We have visitors coming. I'm going to send them away. Simply because, well, we have an army of corpses at our doorstep that need to be dealt with first. Start repairing the walls to hopefully try to keep them out if we can. Oh my god. Absolute chaos and terror. Oh man. Oh shit, we're about to lose this wall. Please, Vefim if you can, or Yefim, please. Absolutely try to help us out here. I'm gonna throw a torch to try to stun some of them. And it didn't work. Throw one here. Let's try to hit them with the cannon if we can. We are stunning some of them by doing that. Oh my word. Oh shit, even though we're repairing this, it is continuing to go down. If we don't kill them soon, they're going to break through and we're going to have to face them hands on. Oh shit, even more of them. We're about to lose our walls. Let's pull back. We have to retreat, we have to pull back. We're losing our walls. This cannon is doing fine. Let's all retreat up here, start repairing these walls immediately to keep them from breaking through up there. They have gotten through this wall, though, and they're coming inside. Oh, no, Marie! Marie has went berserk. Even worse, of all the times for that to happen. She's lost her mind. The panic and the pressure of having a giant undead horde trying to kill us all was a little bit too much. Let's try to rescue her. It was a little bit too much for her noggin. Understandable, but still. We're going to fire into this crowd of corpses, and we are going to do our damnedest to try to kill them. Swap over to fire pots. I want to start burning them. I don't want to start blowing them up. That managed to kill quite a few of them. We are losing another wall, though. Not great. Not great. Oh, man. Alright, start chucking some fire pots back out there at them. Oh, no, I didn't even realize Dial is... Oh, my God, he was within the gates. Oh, no. And he's fallen to them. Oh, no. Oh, no, he's about to open the gates, too. We need to come to his aid here. If we can. I didn't even notice him. Okay. Grab Dial. Rescue him very quickly. They haven't noticed us. The gates will shut. Oh, thank God. Okay. First, how bad are his injuries? He's going to die. We need to just... Let's go ahead. I'm going to let Minitant into him and... Oh, shit. Oh, no. Oh, God. They've broken through here as well. Very, very bad. Not good. Let's get everyone in here. It looks like it's now or never. Now or never, my friends. Okay, since they're quite slow, we could all get the hell out of there, I suppose. Oh my God. They have broken through our walls, though. They still have some time before they get through the rest of this, which will give us enough time to maybe build some more defenses to try to kill them. Let's tend to our wounded, though, to ensure that we don't all die, and we'll think of a game plan here. Alright, so... I don't think we have much of a game plan, except for just, they're about to break through the gates, and we need to prepare ourselves for that to happen. We don't have enough time to prep defenses like I thought, so let's get everyone ready. We have a line of melee defense here, and we also have everyone who has a ranged weapon ready too. Here they come. They've broken the gates of our tower and are now coming. I'm going to try to step back as much as I can here. We have no other choice now but to engage with them. Oh, okay. All right. We're doing fairly well so far. The others are burning out here. Big part of the issue here is that we're not going to be able to go outside without getting lit on fire ourselves. Let me see if I can get this to open up, and we'll just kind of let them in so that we can start killing them. What is... Oh, the fire pots. With the fire pots explode. We need to be careful about Dial's sword there. We could probably all beat most of these to death now. They've mostly burned themselves alive, it seems. Except for quite a few of them. Let's get some of our melee people attacking them. Here we go. Oh my God. The living versus the dead. It might even be worth just going straight melee on every single one of them here. We can start lighting some of these on fire in the back. Yes, perfect. Shoving spears straight through their rotted, decrepit hearts. Ah, there we go. Have we killed them all? No, there's still some of them here. The final one, I believe. There we go. I think... I'm not mistaken. Yes, I think that that's all of them. We have a great big fire to put out. It does appear that we have saved the folks that are in here and kept them from dying, as well as defeated basically an army of corpses. Now, not all of them are completely dead, though. This might be interesting. He might be able to capture this one going by the name of Holmes. I don't know why, but that name seems so familiar. Go ahead and imprison them so that we can do a bit of research on these corpses, but I think for the most part we are victorious. We're going to start extracting their skulls. I think that should prevent them from raising again if we can't get them taken care of and burned before the next death pull sets in. We have a lot of repairs to make here to our towers as well. Well, wouldn't you know it, just our luck, the next death pull would immediately set in, and many of the corpses we literally just killed and were getting to rip the skulls off of were coming back to life and had to be killed again before we could extract their craniums to prevent them from getting back up, thank God. Ah, yes, the old tried and true technique and art form of decapitation. Now, you guys have been asking me since about the first or second episode in this series if decapitating corpses really does keep them from being raised after a death pull sets in. And I can tell you from much research and testing, this does seem to be an effective method. Without the host brain and its head in general, there is no raising from the dead. Zombie-like monsters these appear to be, and yet they seem so much more clever. Once we had finally decapitated all of the corpses of our enemies that we had just slain, we began repairing our towers, building new walls as well as just basically repairing many of the brick and mortar that was damaged during the attack. I think that we really need to make some upgrades on the outer wall. This isn't just any normal city wall. We have unfeeling hordes of undead rotting flesh just pounding away at all times when these types of attacks happen. At the very least, we could use some steel or iron gates, something that would buy us a bit more time. Perhaps a nice outer shell of granite, and perhaps even some more wooden walls on the inside as we did at our southern entrance. We'll see. In the meantime, as Minotan and Yevham were burning many of these corpses, it would seem that a spark has struck between the two of them. A bit surprising, seeing how Minotan is our slave, but I suppose the heart wants what the heart wants, eh? However, Minotan being our slave, this won't fly. The Jarl wouldn't agree to such a thing. However, Minotan has been with us for a very long time and has proven herself countless times to be more than just a slave to our empire and to the Rotten Boar, the House, to the Monster Hunting Guild. She is well deserving of becoming a proper colonist, and more so, a proper hunter. As we're working on recruiting her properly and instilling a nice, stable mental state into her that we need into all of our hunters, we are also going to be checking on my young squire, Dial. I'm sorry about you being very injured in battle, old boy. Positioning you there in between the gates was brave and courageous of you, but foolish of me. I'm glad you're all right. When he wakes up, Doc, I'd like for you to let him know that I brought his sword from the battlefield, stained with the blood of many a corpse. Damn, that boy is a fighter. Speaking of the good doctor, he has something to show us. Apparently, he's managed to tame the Alp. Yes, the sleep paralysis demon, quite literally, I might add. Apparently, it's no smarter than your common mutt. And, meaning, I guess we can also tame it like one, with a bit of food. Oh, also, Sajaki actually cut it open, and apparently it has an anatomically correct set of organs just like a human, and it maybe is just some type of cursed person. It's still our dog, though, okay? Since we don't want it frightening any of our hunters, or possibly any of our guests that are staying in the city for a short period of time, and also we don't want to mistake it for another beast out in a death pull when it's dark and gloomy, we're going to be making it something of a tiny room here in our laboratory. Think of it like a house puppy, I guess. The bed is mostly just for looks, unless it's wanting to get comfortable for a while, since it never sleeps, and only eats. What does it eat, you might ask? Well, as we know, it likes meat and bone marrow, which brings me to my next point. Not only is it cool to have around as a puppy, but it also hunts down undead in the forest and eats them. It is literally a natural-born hunter. Also, if you have a name for the Alp, be sure to leave that in the comments section down below. Now then, with all that taken care of, we have also finally finished up all the repairs to our towers and our walls, so we are now going to begin fixing up the city and also finishing it off in today's episode. We actually have something of a lumber mill here. This way we can appropriately and efficiently cut timber into planks very, very quickly, which is probably something we should have done before building all of our homes and other structures out of logs instead of planks, as the planks would be nicer and a bit more sturdy, but we had to throw it up very quickly, so I think it's fine. We also have some trestles and workbenches here to go about cutting them, but we're also building a windmill outside that will help us automate this process. Given the time period, of course. Next up on the docket, we're going to be building a stone masonry workplace. This way we can cut all our stones. Now, we've been doing this since the very beginning of our settlement here out in the forest, but we actually haven't had a proper place to go about doing this. We've been doing it all outside, and of course that makes our work very slow, especially when the temperatures get cold. You understand, this is a much needed building and workplace, of course, that is much warmer. Not only am I doing this for efficiency, though, we're also building these specialized buildings for these things for organizational purposes as well. We want to be running a tip-top ship here, especially before the Jarl comes for a visit, and believe you me, he will be coming. Last but not least is going to be a proper slaughterhouse, a butcher shop in the northwestern part of the city. A nice place where we can go about cleaning, skinning, gutting, so on and so forth, all of our wildlife that we're hunting, like our cursed deer, things of that nature. But also, of course, this way we can go about processing our own livestock, like our goats, which have been breeding for quite some time now and are finally ready to be slaughtered, or at least a few of them. It'll be good protein for us all. Sure, it's not venison like we're used to back home, but it sure beats all the cursed rotten meat we've been eating from the zombie animals. It can't be healthy. As we were attempting to butcher our goats, I also noticed that something was attempting to get a stranglehold on them, attempting to eat them. A harbinger tree just outside our slaughterhouse. This forest never ceases to surprise me. Well, with my mighty axe, I would hack it down. Yet another example of the chaotic dead forces around these parts submitting to the will of the living. As they should. My friends, I must say I'm quite proud of the city that we've built for our monster hunting guild, although we are coming towards the end of this series, with the next episode most likely being the last episode in this little mini-series that takes place in our medieval Overhaul universe that is connected, of course, with the Hospitality City series. We still have plenty to do for the next episode, and I actually already have something in mind. We've been building a city for so long, damn near we've almost forgot our true goal after we get it set up, and that we have our foothold of eradicating monsters, and more importantly, recruiting more hunters to our cause so we can continue this forevermore, keeping the realm safe. Speaking of which, it would appear that we finally given Minitin the resolve and the mental fortitude that she needs to become a true hunter like the rest of us. Welcome aboard. You won't be needing those anymore. A slave no longer. Your rightful place as one of us. And you'll be pleased to know that your lover, Yefim, has been working hard on your home, ensuring that you both have some very humble yet spacious and comfortable lodgings. A nice fur bed, just as the one that Sir Gerardus has had for himself and his wife as well. A nice luxury item to most, as previously mentioned, but one that is much deserved, my friend. But with that, my friends, we have basically completely finished our city. Sure, there's still much we'd like to do in terms of defenses and maybe a few more structures here and there, but for the most part, it is truly completed. Now, I suppose we just need to raise an entire medieval army to help us with our monster hunting efforts, eh? See you later. Hello, one and all, and welcome to our Lux Intinibbrris, our Monster Hunters Guild's pride and joy, our city, our unyielding, unbending light in all the darkness of this forest, and of this world and realm. Hi there, we are the Hunters, led by yours truly, Sir Giraudus. Perhaps you've heard of me. I'm a knight of much renown, yada yada. You've probably already have, I'm sure. Recently, we finished up our city, which also includes many an inn as well as longhouse, where we allow traders and travelers, caravans, so on and so forth, to stop in, mostly free of charge, when they're traveling through the Dark Forest. That way they don't get murdered by monsters or the undead. It's a bit of a service we provide to the realm. Speaking of monsters, we have our Alp, a bit of a dream demon, a sleep paralysis demon, kinda. He puts you to sleep. He's not really a demon, though. I don't even know if I consider him a monster. Not since we tamed him, at least. Who's a good boy? That's right, you are. Today, though, my friends, not only will we be building an army to help us serve the realms of men, but we are also going to be researching new technologies to arm our army, such as gunpowder weaponry. Now, this technology is still in the experimental prototype phase for this world, and we'll have to get quite accustomed to it. But I think that gunpowder weapons, like firearms, might be exactly what we need in our line of work. We've seen how well the cannons do. Let's see how well miniature versions do that we can carry around. This research shouldn't take all that long, as we're somewhat familiar with them. As I just mentioned, we do already have cannons. Now, we mostly need to research the mechanisms for firearms, yada yada, the boring stuff. Here's something interesting, though. It would seem, thanks to our efforts of deforesting and burning down this horrid biome, things are somewhat returning to normal. As you can see, many of the ancient stags and does are returning without fear of being slaughtered by the undead or hordes of monsters. The world is healing. Not only is this beautiful to see, but this might also be quite useful. For you see, as members of the House of the Rotten Boar, we actually used to ride ancient stags and does into battle very often. I know, a bit unusual. Why weren't we riding boars? I don't know, but we're going to start taming some of these stags and does, which didn't go off all that well at first, but eventually we got a couple of them. Now, obviously, we didn't want them in the same pen as our goats. That way we don't end up confusing them in the heat of a fight. Maybe a monster's beating down our doors and we accidentally jump onto the back of one of our billy goats. That wouldn't exactly be ideal. So just above the captain's home, we ended up building them their own pen. Again, only filled with a couple of them for now, but eventually, hopefully we'll have plenty more for an entire army to ride. We will also be placing a hitching spot towards the south, because I don't really like the location of having all of our mounts all the way up here, away from everyone's residential housing. It wouldn't exactly be all that convenient to rush to the other side of the city for an attack, just to mount our mounts and then head back the other direction. After this, though, we finally finished that research into gunpowder weaponry, and we are more than ready to go about making one of our first. A good old-fashioned hand cannon. Miniton, of course, being one of our most skillful smiths, was entrusted with making a few of these for us to attempt to use on one of our hunts. We wanted to make sure it's someone that we trust to do a good job, because there's a good chance that these will blow our hands clean off if not. Oh yeah, the great equalizers. Monsters might have teeth and claws, but we have something better. Gunpowder and lead. A few days later, and House Amboys had contacted us with a raven, saying that they had 3 prisoners they had captured, and they were looking for us to hold them until they can create a proper facility for them. Some interesting fellows, apparently. In exchange, they'll help out the guild by providing us with some gold for riches to fund our operation, as well as a shield for us to use. Naturally, we accepted, and they brought the prisoners sometime later. These prisoners appear to be some form of cultist, perhaps. They are asleep thanks to some of the sleeping powder from House Amboy's soldiers, but still slightly conscious, it would seem. This, of course, makes our job a bit easier. Even so, they seem to be muttering and mumbling about an all-powerful undead queen. Yeah, keep dreaming, pal. Nothing more than stag shit, if you ask me. Pretty sure I've made that joke before. Nevertheless, though, I hope your little undead queen isn't real and is only in my nightmares. For her sake, that is. But now with the prisoners squared away, we've also received word from Elven Travelers of another Lindworm in the area, mostly attacking orc traders and caravans. Now, the orcs are our enemies, but a monster is a monster all the same. Even if the orcs are our enemies, we have a duty to do. We've sworn an oath. Plus, it could be a good opportunity to try out our new guns. And with that, it was settled. Besides, we couldn't waste any time. The longer we wait, the more people that will be killed by the Lindworm. Not only orcs, but elves and humans alike. We immediately would head that way, and after several days, we finally arrived. The ground was frozen solid, and to our north, just ahead, we could see a large opening within the mountain. This must be the cave of the creature, as it sneaks and slithers through the cold cave walls, the corpses of its home frozen. It looks to me as if the orcs have already sent out a raiding party to try to deal with this monster. You poor beasts. Best leave it to the professionals. Now, we're not just gonna run in there all willy-nilly and start stabbing and shooting and hoping for the best. Luckily, we've brought plenty of steel as well as wood to go about building ourselves a proper cannon at the entrance of the cave. But even so, with the cannon, we still need to be quite cautious. We've only killed one Lindworm before, we used a couple of cannons, and we had the full manpower of the guild. This is going to be a little bit more tricky. So we have everyone ready here. Most of our people are using their ranged weapons. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Remount, please. They're using their ranged weapons, and we have one of our Dark Elves on the cannon. Now, the only issue is we need to get the Lindworm out here. How are we going to do that, you might ask? Well, myself and my sister Danielle are going to be going in to gain its attention. It looks like some of the cave has actually caved in, so we're going to have to do a bit of mining here. We're going to bring Dial in specifically so he can go about mining this granite. Now, I'm not going to leave him in here, simply because I don't want him to get caught up in the crossfire. Can we hit it from... Yes, now we can. Now we can. Whoa, 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 whoa. Go, go, go. Everyone get out of there. Oh, go, go. Sir Garatus, please. I beg of you, move. Holy, get out of there now. Oh my god. Even on the stag. Okay, move. Move. Jeez. If worst comes to worst, we're going to leave the stag in there behind. But I don't want to do that. No more fire at will. Just keep moving. Keep moving. Here we go. I want everyone moved to the sides, and I want the Lindworm. There's a good shot right here. Yeah. All right, there we go. So it is stunned, and we're going to try our best to keep it stunned, but we need to move all of our ranged folks back. Sir Garatus is also stunned. There we go. Perfect. Okay. I was trying not to hit him and the stag, if we could help it. Oh, man. Okay, well, we managed to kill the Lindworm. Jesus. Sir Garatus is... You know what? Actually, he's not even injured from the, He's not even injured from the cannon. I think our stag... Yeah, our stag is a little injured from the cannon, but that wasn't too bad, actually. Not too shabby. We'll tend to ourselves. So we have killed it. We'll get to get its scales. I don't think there's anything in here. The cave is mostly empty, except for, well, we do have a helmet here, a chosen helmet, I suppose. And we could actually strip these orcs and recycle their clothing if we so choose. Obviously, we'll be staying here for the evening, so we're going to go ahead and set ourselves up a little campfire. We didn't bring any tents or bedrolls, which we desperately needed to do. We'll go ahead and set up some sleeping spots near the fire to keep us warm, and as well, I think I'm going to go ahead and build a butchering table. We could try to build a workbench out here, but I don't know if it's going to let us. I might actually have to do I'll have to do a block because we don't have planks. I'm going to butcher the Lindworm. It's absolutely massive. It's going to be very hard for us to carry back, so I think butchering it here is the best thing to do. We'll go ahead and butcher it, that way we can get scales, things like that from it, and it's going to be a lot lighter to carry back. Also, we can go ahead and set up a build to go about cooking the Lindworm, as well as onions, because I forgot we brought some of those, and we can all eat before we sleep for the night. Oh my, plenty of meat. We also have that blood, we have scales, and we also have some hide and bones. So we should be able to make some more Lindworm equipment that will keep us immune to the acidic effects, which is also why I sent Sir Garotis in, because he has the shield earlier. He's had it the whole time, but when I sent him in, it was earlier. The thing about that, though, that I had completely forgot about is the fact that with the gun, you don't use the shield, so... again, though, with this equipment, I think we'll be carrying this armor and stuff back home because it's tainted, and also we don't have a workbench here to go about recycling. We have also recycled our cannons, so we can try to reuse the steel. Unfortunately, cannons cannot be uninstalled, otherwise I'd just bring it back home with us. But with that, I think we're going to rest ourselves up, warm up by the fire, sleep a little bit tonight, and then we'll start heading back home. And so we would. However, you already know the journey back home is going to be long and boring, also a bit tiresome, so if anything interesting happens, I'll let you know. But in the meantime, back at our city in the forest, it would appear that the cultist prisoners that we have awakened, which is unusual seeing how House Amboys had drugged them, hopefully letting them sleep the entire duration of their stay here. Nevertheless, I suppose it'll be fine. Besides, we have much more pressing matters. If we are truly going to be creating an army for our city in today's episode, we are going to need some proper transportation. And I'm not just talking about ancient deer that we're going to be riding around. We are actually going to be taming a couple of stallions, hooking them up to a wagon, and voila, we have a proper carriage. Not only for riding, but also for trade and carrying of goods and weapons and things of that sort. But of course we need a proper place to store the wagon, our horses, as well as a nice place to store food for the winter for all of our animals within the city. So, of course, we are going to undertake the construction of a proper barn. And if I could be honest with you, I'm fairly happy with how it turned out. We have a decent bit of storage room for straw and hay and other things that animals will need to eat, of course, and we also have a couple of stalls for our stallions, with plenty of room to spare to park the old wagon for its next voyage. Now, of course, we had to make some accommodations to one of our gates to ensure that it is large enough for our wagon to go in and out of, but that's not too big of a deal. Besides, we needed to do a little bit of road work anyhow. And I don't mean to break the immersion, but I must say that one of my favorite things in this series specifically is how we come into this necromancy forest. It's full of the living dead, monsters, and all sorts of darkness, and yet now we've reshaped it. Humans have taken it, and we have brought light, we have brought construction and life, most of all. I'm not one for subtlety, so you may have also noticed that the music has changed to what I consider to be the theme of the Rotten Boar from our first series. And that is because I feel like we've shifted away from a nightmare forest to a proper city. Speaking of which, our heroic hunters have finally returned home, bringing back all the items from their adventure, like the lindworm meat that we will be turning into steaks and having a feast with, but also the blood, as well as some bones that we are going to be reshaping into armor and weaponry. I found it fitting that our captain would get his very own lindworm armor set, matching his nice shield, of course, as well as some bone pauldrons, offering plenty of defense, as well as a bit of style. Later on into the night, we noticed that a wild man had entered the forest. Not just any wild man, a wild orc. It's quite common for orcs to leave their weaker babies out in the wild, and occasionally those weak babies actually survive and grow into hulking monsters that are no smarter than your average mutt. Perfect for us, I think. He's not much of an army, but he has an incredible melee skill. Now, that's a double-bladed sword. As you could imagine, that would be quite useful in our army and for our hunters, but that also means he might beat us like a wet rug. I had brought the Alp down to hopefully maybe make him hallucinate and to knock him out, or whatever the Alps are supposed to do as dream demons, but this didn't really work. Maybe we don't quite understand how to make him do it yet, but the orc had to be knocked on the head a few times. Eventually, though, it worked, and we managed to take him into custody. Oh, I forgot to mention in a clip a moment ago, we also brought Maverick to hopefully talk to him, but he was a little bit too wild for that. Anyways, though, we're going to try to tame him by feeding him food and giving him good praise, because there's only one way to a hungry orc's heart. Meat. Again, though, I am afraid I must reiterate that one wild orc warrior isn't going to cut it. We need to speed up the process of obtaining our army. Exponentially so, actually. We have the room to house them, but we need some money to pay their wages and also a possible recruiting fee, or to buy their freedom, depending on their circumstance. Lucky enough, we just so happen to have plenty of riches to the south of our city waiting to be mined. Remember these meteorites that fell a few episodes ago whenever we burned down a significant portion of the Dark Forest, and we thought maybe it's some type of angry necromancer mommy goddess? Well, we're going to be mining those, and we're going to be hiring a bunch of troops to go about killing more undead. How you like them apples, bitch? You know, while we were mining these meteorites, though, we also noticed there appears to be some type of obelisk. I didn't notice it before. Perhaps it also fell with the meteorites. It's actually quite similar to the one at the capital city of the House of the Rotten Boar that we built something of a shrine around, and we were trying to preserve history and a bit of a tourist attraction. I'm sure this one is nothing. Adding on to that, as we were achieving the means of gaining our army, a horrid deathpaw had set into the area. The worst that we've seen in ages. Thick with a nasty, plaguish aura. The cultists seemed to rejoice in this shroud of darkness and this disgusting plague. But then, they went silent. Something isn't right here. Well, that can't be good. The Rotting Horde. Never heard of them. But it looks like things keep getting worse. A large horde of corpses had appeared on our western side. With a... Is that a necromancer? Yeah, I'm sure. I think a bullet will do you all the same as it has for your undead companions thus far. We would split our forces in half to take on both of the impending groups of undead. I don't give a shit if magic is real or not. If it can bleed, it can die. And by the grace of the gods, we will make these sons of bitches bleed by the time this death ball clears. Foolishly, the corpses would attempt a frontal assault at the southern gate as their necromancer commander was coming from the east. A fool's mistake as we quickly swarmed them and killed them. Speaking of which, as we were fending off one of their death knights, we were also preparing to be flanked from the east. However, the necromancer nor the rest of their forces ended up coming. We were a bit confused as to why, but in the dark distance we saw gilded plate armor and long ears and spears. It seems that an elven caravan has come to our aid, killing not only her undead, but also the necromancer as well. Wait a minute. Oh shit. Maybe magic is real. Ah, I see the problem. The elves forgot to remove their heads. Not to worry, you poor sods, for we are on our way. We'll show you how to do it right. After finishing off their final death knight, we would approach from the southwest and start chopping, slashing, and, well, basically just killing all of the corpses in the necromancer's army, as well as her herself. And this time, you dirty she-devil, we're gonna make sure that you stay down. Now you stay right there, Alp. I might need you to knock her out. That's unusual. It didn't look like her corpse burned, but disappeared. Perhaps she's not of this world, or of this dimension. Well, nevertheless, she's dead now. Actually dead. And we have plenty of elves who have served the guild today who are injured. And our heroic sleep paralysis demon would save them from being burned in the forest. Please don't resist. You're being saved. I gotta tell you, I think that we could have handled that little corpse army, but I'm glad the elves came to our aid. It was much easier that way. But I think that this also shows that the presence of our guild hunting these creatures and monsters and corpses and blah 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 also shows that this world is awakening, becoming aware of this dimensional merge or whatever is happening. I don't know if that's good or bad, but hopefully good. Something tells me that that little undead rotting horde may have come to try to bust out these cultists. I can't be too sure of that, but I know one way to make sure it doesn't happen again. Sorry, House Amboys, but I'm afraid these fellas won't be making it to the noose. Well, not your noose at least. Hey, that one's getting away. Get back here, you scoundrel. Huh. Well, I suppose we could skip the part where we remove your head and just take your corpse straight to the old pyre, eh? Guns. Maybe a useful invention after all. Now that we're done executing our prisoners of war, I think it's time that we send out a proper trading party, and who better to do so than a couple of our dark elf hunters. Great social skills, charismatic, purple, what's not to love? First and foremost, we're selling off plenty of textiles like cotton and many of the furs and leathers that we have acquired thus far that we don't actually need for any clothing or weapons. Next on the list, and quite honestly most importantly, many of the minerals that we've been mining from the meteorites like gold or onyx and amber and things like that that are going to make us a vast fortune. We'll be setting out a little to the northwest to do a bit of trading with our elven allies in the area. We'd love to trade with the orcs, but even after killing that Lindworm and saving many of their children and caravans, they still don't want to team up and do business or anything like that. So to hell with them. Hellbores. That was a terrible transition, but I did notice that some of these monstrous hellbores have entered our area. This has actually happened a few times off camera, and I just killed them without showing you because it's only one or two, not that big of a deal. However, this time around, I have something better in mind. As pointed out by our good friend Dr. Josiah, hellbores are quite literally the perfect mounts and also hounds, I suppose you could say, for us as hunters, especially as hunters under the House of the Rotten Boar. I think you see where I'm going with this. They could rip and shred an orc or other monsters apart quite easily. But you might be asking yourself, how the hell do you tame this thing? Well, it's basically a walking bear trap, and if you fail to tame it one time, there is a 100% chance that you're going to lose your damn hand. Not exactly the best of odds, but that's where our in-house sleep paralysis demon comes in handy once again. For you see, we've been attempting to go around at night to figure out how his sleeping and hallucinating nightmare powers work, and we still don't really understand them. But if hallucinating and making these things have nightmares knocks them out, that's fine by me. It was pretty simple. We tossed a torch in their eyes, stunning them and blinding them for a few seconds, while our Alp would throw a little magic dust at them, I guess, to knock them out. At first I thought this was hogwash, but then, boom, a sleeping hellbore. Oh my. Well, Sergeratus, you've knocked them out, but what do you do now? You can hardly tame a sleeping animal. I'm glad you asked, because I came prepared. We already used up a lot of marble and iron in our research building to go about making some cages for them, keeping them separate, of course. We don't need them getting up to any nefarious plans. And once they're awake, we'll keep them fed, and we'll also begin taming efforts. Here's hoping we don't lose any hands. Damn, that Alp is good. Yet again, proving himself loyal and quite useful. And yet we still haven't even named him. I know, you wonderful folks have already provided me with a name last episode. Seems like a majority of you like the comment here from our good friend, Xanath-001. Muffins? Muffins it is. A fitting name, and one that I think, if I could add a little bit of lore here, that we might give to our Alp to maybe make him seem a bit more friendly to everyone that comes through the city. We can only keep him hidden in the broom closet for so long when we have company over. Now then, our caravan had finally arrived at the Elven settlement to the northwest, and we are finally selling off many of our items such as minerals and, as you can see here, leathers and furs as previously discussed, making us a vast fortune. The only issue is, they didn't actually have any prisoners that could join the Hunters Guild. They did, however, have a knot. You could think of it like a prehistoric cow or something of that sort. The perfect sturdy mount for our hunters, so we would purchase it. A few days later, and our caravan would finally arrive back home, parking the wagon and our knot. And as you can see, we actually made quite a bit of money. Now the only thing is trying to find some prisoners to purchase, or maybe some mercenaries to hire. Somebody who is willing to fight the hordes of monstrosities that we deal with. Not an easy task. Almost as difficult as taming a Hellbore, which Marie managed to do. We were feeling pretty confident after this massive achievement, and we were so excited to tame the other, that way we could have a breeding pair, but it was less cooperative. Without a real chance to defend herself, all Marie could really do was attempt to run away as the vicious beast jumped on her, bit her, and clawed at her, taking her to the ground. Alerted by her screams, Dial and Maverick would rush in to take down the beast. And they would. Buckshot to the old face. A classic trick for taking down musky monsters. It's important to remember that even though they are tameable, they're still wild beasts. And sometimes euthanization is the best method. We quickly began patching up Marie's wounds as best we could so she didn't bleed out here in our research hall, and we rushed her back to her home where Sajaki could actually patch her up properly with some proper medieval medicine. The bites from the Hellbore's disgusting maw can be quite infectious. But with a little bit of luck and faith, I think Marie will make a quick recovery. As she's recovering from her attack, I began to sit and watch our city as it continues to flourish. But our army stays the same. We've yet to have any damn prison caravans coming our way to trade off their dirty thieves and murderers, and that is just not good. So, I think we should look into contacting them ourselves to request some aid, or at least some people who we can use as soldiers. We're going to be looking into the technology for carrier birds, ravens and pigeons mostly. This will unlock the way to go about training these animals, as well as a messaging table that we can use to write letters and things of that nature to contact other factions. Pretty self-explanatory, I'd say. I was also thinking, while our researchers are hard at work looking into making this happen, we should also go ahead and give some more of our animals some names. For example, our new Hellbore. We're actually going to be naming it Fido. This suggestion is from our good friend Justin Bell 1596. Now, I do know, of course, that you wanted to name the Alp this, but I think that our Hellbore works just as well as a monster hunting hound on its own out in the forest, as it, just like the Alp, will actually go out and hunt them down on its own as a food source. A natural predator to all those reanimated, rotten boys and gals. I also decided to name our knot Tater. Not because anyone suggested it, but I don't know, I like it. Plus, my dog's name is Tater, so there you go. Oh, speak of the devil, we finally have a prison trader coming from the dark elven houses. It's about damn time. We're eager to buy some soldiers. Unfortunately, it looks like there's only going to be 2 soldiers who will be joining us now, but, that's better than nothing, I guess. Alright, you couple sorry sacks of muffalo shit, it's time for you to redeem yourselves, and to be of some service to the realm for a change. Welcome to the guild. And we finally finished up our research into carrier birds. We'll waste no time, go about collecting ourselves a nice crow outside, and with that, it looks like we're ready to start our writing. Let's see. Dear Elven Houses, remember the unyielding light? Yes, this is we, the ones who have saved you countless times. We protect the realms of men and elves and orcs and so on and so forth. I think you get the gist. We're requesting a prisoner exchange caravan. That way we can fuel this damn army that we're supposed to be building this episode that thus far is comprised of about 3 new people. Speaking of which, I suppose while we're waiting on a caravan of potential new recruits, we should go ahead and start smithing up some weapons and armor for the 3 that we do have. Starting off here with our friend Grog. Yes, the orc that we had finally tamed. He's still a beast by nature and doesn't really speak at all, but he knows how to swing that mighty axe, and truly that's what is important. We also want to begin working on some new types of firearms, unlike the large, basically blunderbusses that we have previously created, the very basic ones. we're actually going to start making some matchlock muskets. Again, still quite the primitive weapon, but with a little bit of refinement in the engineering. There is a lot of potential here, and I truly believe that. So much, in fact, that I've decided to start arming a lot of our new recruits with these matchlock muskets, as well as crossbows or a normal type of bow, maybe some melee weaponry, just in case. But we'll never refine these new prototype weapons if we don't hand them out for people to test in the field. Killing monsters, gushing blood from the necks of orcs, you get the point. A few days later, and the Dark Elf houses had sent yet another prisoner caravan. Finally, we can finish off this army once and for all, adding 5 brand new prisoners among our ranks of hunters. Some of them Dark Elves, some of them High Elves, one of them an Impid. Okay. Either way, though, we are about to whip this sorry outfit into a proper fighting force. Grab your weapons, grab your gear, and let's get to work. Yes, a bit of a mismatch if you ask me, but basically, as long as their soft bits are protected and they have some type of weapon to use, that's all that I care about. And now I will be the first to say that this is hardly anything of a unified army, mostly comprised of ex-slaves, thieves, murderers, and other types of prisoners, but it's all we got. And we're gonna make the best with what we have here. I understand this may not be what you folks envisioned for your lives, but at least here, you're free. And you have a second chance at redemption, at getting a bit of glory for yourselves, and at protecting the realm against all monsters, beasts, undead, whatever comes our way. Now then, when you're ready, we got a job to do. Look, before we actually take our army out and begin using it against the hordes of the damned or monsters or whatever we may be facing here today, I want to say that I'm quite proud of what we've built. I always say that, of course, but I am. I don't know where this Lich Queen goth mommy is coming from to try to kill us, whether it be another dimension, whether she had always been here in some form, or whether she is truly looking for champions for her undead rotting horde, but I do know that whatever comes our way, we will be able to face it together. Speaking of which, we've recently received communication from one of the local houses about a nearby settlement that they've lost. Apparently, to, you guessed it, monsters. Alright everyone, mount up. Looks like we're going to be riding south. All of us at the same time. And so we would, all of us moving towards the south. From the reports that we heard, apparently there are no survivors. Nor is there really anything left to reclaim, but we can't just have these beasts wandering around killing anyone they so choose. Smoke filled the air, and from a distance we could see the glowing growth of a fire. In the center of this little village, or whatever this was supposed to be, there are gigantic beasts. Muscled and tough, no doubt. Good thing we brought a lot of manpower. Alright, so I actually have all of our troops set up in the army here. We have our matchlock muskets along with, well, a few people using bow and arrow, of course. But everyone is mounted up on the Ancient Deer. We have Ser Geratus, of course, mounted up on the Hellbore. And we also have our non-mounted troops, as well as our carriage. Now, I'm thinking I might just keep... We have about 4 troops inside here. We'll kind of move them up a little bit slower and let our mounted troops kind of take the lead on this one. They're going to be a bit faster, and just as well, of course, most of them have matchlock muskets or some other type of firearm, which I think might do us pretty good against these giant troll-like creatures. Unholds? Now, I'm not exactly sure as to what type of monster these are. A towering giant 3 times the size of a man, known for devouring sheep and draining ponds. Well, that makes sense as to why they would come here and start killing off villagers and eating their children and other disgusting things. But that doesn't exactly explain these odd meat walls that are bright red and also seem to be encompassing the place. So I'm going to move our mounted troops up. I don't think these creatures are going to be hostile towards us right away. They're not all that intelligent. If they had any sense, they would be, but fortunately for them, I don't think that's the case. Now, we could try to use the Alp, good old muffins, to try to knock them out, but I don't think we're gonna do that. Oh, shit. Okay, so they are coming straight for us. They are smart enough to realize that we're a threat, it would seem. Oh, no. Graphile, I forgot your name. Oh my god. Muffins! I can't see! Oh no, I can't see him under there. Holy. Muffins and Graphile have both been severely injured. Bring in the rest of the army. I'm going to bring all of our troops together, and the problem is I don't want to get in this fire, but we do need to rescue Graphile here. Let's carry her, and let's also carry Muffins. We're going to try to kill these monsters as well as get our people out of here, moving them to a clear, safe spot. Oh, Jesus, these monsters are huge. Oh, Jesus. It's beating on Sajaki. We're keeping it at bay. Start tending to Muffins. We're gonna start tending to Graphile as well. Oh, dear God. Oh, and they're eating skeleton corpses. They are absolutely huge. They are pretty injured, it seems like. So hopefully we can keep this going. Tend to her. We need to get Muffins and Graphile, ensure that they're not going to die, obviously. Let's move up here. The problem is we're kind of trapped by the flames here. We have to be very careful with how we handle this. We did kill one of them. It's a bit hard to see from all the vegetation, but we killed one here of these giant monster trolls. Fire. I'm going to go ahead and go past the fire. We have to be quite careful. We don't want to get burned for one, but also for two. We don't want to get ourselves stuck just like we're kind of already doing. There we go. Right, and let's move up again to try to kill the third and final one. Alright, absolute firing squad, perfect. I just realized, Sir Giraudus was mostly just directing them there. We didn't have there we go. We didn't have a ranged weapon in his hands. Not everyone did. Not everyone has them is why. But yeah, I didn't want Sir Giraudus to... I meant to give him his ranged weapons, what I was going to say. So we have killed them. What is up with the meat wall here, though? This might be worth pounding on a bit. See if we can start destroying it. Okay. Is back in here. Whoa. Alright, back up. Holy. Perhaps we take a moment to observe before the fighting really kicks off. We have a couple of Death Knight champions, some type of blood altar, and a warped obelisk. This is activate. What happens if you activate the obelisk? Return home. This is This may be how a lot of these creatures have been teleporting into our world, or portaling into our world. Obelisks like this and these magical whatever they're using, things like this to basically come from whatever dimension they're coming from. At least that's how I'm figuring out in my head. I have no idea. Let's back up, because here come these Death Knight champions, and they are coming right for us. Let's fix our line here. Alright, open fire. We have a few of our melee folks coming in, Grog and the others, to beat the absolute shit out of them. Yefim has been injured, though. Most likely due to the fact that... Alright, we got him. Most likely due to the fact of... Oh, actually, that was all from the Death Knights. Okay, we've got Minotaur tending to him. I was worried that some of that was most likely from our bullets, and thankfully, I was happily incorrect. Let's finish off these massive marauding sons of bitches. Now the Death Knights are dead. We do still have a bit more of this village to go through, or whatever this was supposed to be. The problem is we didn't get all that much info from the carrier bird that we received. I don't know if they had some filthy ne'er-do-wells trying to summon the dark forces here, or, based on this though, I think actually the obelisk, it seems as if they have to go home, perhaps the Death Knights were creating the obelisk to return to the universe of their filthy lich witch bitch. I don't know for sure though, but I do know for sure that we are going to continue moving forward here, and I'm going to continue exploring this. I don't want to take the entire army. We do need to kind of hurry though. There's a giant forest fire that's coming, and our ancient deer in some cases are right in the way. Bit of a problem. Pop it wide open. Ah! No Death Knights, but we do have skeletons. Not all that many. With some type of sacrificial altar once again. Let's blast these sons of bitches. Okay. The matchlocks are great, but they're very slow firing. There we go. Finally. I'm not seeing much. There's nothing really of use here, except maybe the altar, which we could quickly deconstruct. Put this out. I'm not all that concerned with the walls. Let it all burn. So we get some obsidian and silver. Interesting. This obelisk, I'm not positive what to do with it, although I don't think it matters. As long as the undead have been vanquished, I don't think that anyone else is going to know how to use it. And it seems like without these altars, the obelisk might not work as intended. So we'll deconstruct these, and now we need to tend to our wounded and get the hell out of here before this raging fire consumes every single one of us, as well as the forest as a whole. Now the pouring rain would come to the forest to wash the fire away, thankfully, which also gave us an opportunity to ponder about the obelisk and to try to destroy it. As you can see, these efforts were completely in vain. I don't know what type of dark magic is holding this thing together, but it seems impenetrable for our current capabilities. That taken into account, I think we're gonna have to come up with a different solution. We can't just leave this thing here. It's far too dangerous. Since the obsidian in the area that we got from the altar, as well as a few other structures, was the most durable and dense material here, we decided to use it to completely block off the obelisk. Whether or not somebody is going to use it to leave or to come in here, either way, I think this should stop them from being able to do so. And perhaps if we're lucky, this will even hinder the amount of undead pouring into our world. With that finally taken care of, though, and all the loose ends tied up, we would finally return back home. Immediately rushing into the tower, our mess hall, our dining room, to feast together. There's no better bonding experience than working together as a team, as an army, to clear out the worst of the worst. God, it feels good to be back home. All in one piece, too, I might add. We've been gone for so long, though. Let's see if we've received any letters. A letter from the capital. The Jarl is coming for a visit. I suppose I probably need to shave, and perhaps prepare a proposition for funding of the guild. Wish me luck. Hello one and all, thank you ever so much for watching today's episode, or if you're watching this in the future, thank you for watching the entire supercut, or just thank you in general, of course, for supporting these episodes, this series. I couldn't have done it without you guys, and especially not without my wonderful patrons. I love you all ever so much. I love all of you, of course. So thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting. I also want to say that I've had a lot of fun in this series, of course, and adding in this new faction, a sub-faction of the House of the Rotten Boar, the Unyielding Light, our monster hunters, who, as we continue building up our medieval overhaul universe, we're going to see more often killing monsters, coming to the aid of civilians and villagers and stuff like that. I think it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, as well as seeing where it goes with them being connected now to the Eternal Winter universe. And as we continue seeing our Lich Queen goth mommy necromancer baddie start invading more of these universes, looking for champions to fight in her army against the Eternal Flame. There's a lot of lore there that I've just spit all of a sudden. If you're new here, I apologize, but feel free to watch some of the previous series if you'd like more information about this, or if not, that's cool too. I love you guys though either way, and I will see you next time.